시드 저그 조일장.
이번 시즌 4강 말고 우승하도록 하겠습니다.
연습량 지금 많이 끌어올리고 있고
네.
자신감이 하나 찌르고 있죠.
네.
만찬이 기다리고 있습니다.
조에 일단 토스는 한 명 있으면 좋을 것 같다는 생각은 들더라고요. 둘 다 좀 별로인 것 같아서 그래서 저그를 뽑을 수도 없고 테란을 뽑지 않을까.
우리 김태형 선수.
전 좋아요. 제발 뽑아줬으면 좋겠어요. 전 어차피 C조 아니면 D조인데 D조 괴물이랑 만날 바에는 우리 곰돌이 형, 이제 일장이 형이랑 하고 싶습니다.
저도 일장형이 뽑아주면은 괜찮을 것 같아요. 구이 먹으러 오세요.
저는 아롱사태.
사태가
와 사태구나. 절장 선수 1차 지명.
어류냐 육류냐.
역시 아롱 사태예요.
식사가 된 것 같아서 너무 좋아요.
생선은 뼈 발라먹기 좀 귀찮아가지고 먹기 좋은 걸로.
저그 중에
오.
C조를 원하는 저그 있나요?
C조 저그? 다 마이크를 지금 안 들고 있는 상황인데.
근데 C조에 비해서 AB조가 너무 쉬워 보여가지고 솔직히 가고 싶긴 하거든요.
채팅방에서도 AB조인데 뭐하러 C조를 가냐 이런 이야기들이 좀 계속 나오고 있는 상황입니다. 김태형 선수 선택으로 진행하도록 하겠습니다.
네.
김민철, 와
김민철입니다.
김민철을 뽑았어요.
제일 스타를 안 하는 것 같아서 뽑았습니다.
지금 여러 가지 굉장히 바빠가지고 김민철 선수를 쉽게 봤습니다. 어떠세요?
연습을 안 해도 이길 수 있는 재능을 보여드릴게요.
재능으로 승부해도 이길 수 있다.
제가 누구를 데려오든 까다로운 적으로 바뀐다고 하더라고요. 민철이 형은 형 저그가 아니에요. 테란 입장에서. 까다로운 토스보다 더 테란전을 잘합니다. 민철이 형을 데려온다고 하는데 다시 한번 생각해봤으면 좋겠어요.
이 남은 선수가 김태경과 김지정 선수예요.
누구 뽑아도 뭔가 바뀔 것 같은 느낌이 들어가지고 이 자리에 이제 현재가 올 것 같은 느낌이라서 둘 중에 현재 더 만나고 싶은 사람이 있으면은 뽑겠습니다.
어차피 시리즈는 강하다고 생각해가지고 그래도 민철이보단 성대랑 하는 게 낫지 않을까.
바로 선택을 하시죠. 김지정과 김태경입니다.
김태경입니다.
김태경이에요.
예. 원하는 대로 된 게 하나도 없어요. 김태경 선수는.
사실 갈 것 같아서 생각 없이 뽑았어요.
그냥 뽑은 거예요?
그냥 아무 생각 없이 그냥 뽑아버렸어요.
제가 현재랑 할 것 같아가지고 저도 좀 싫네요.
그래도 바뀔 수 있다는 가능성이 좀 있기 때문에.
첫 판부터 포전을 뛰는 건 되게 별로라 생각하고
역시 우승은 괜히 하는 거 아닌 것 같아요.
변현재 떼고 김정우. 시구르 웃으면서 지금 마무리가 좀 된 상황입니다. 김민철 선수 안 바뀌면서 조에 이제 토스 한 명이 됐는데.
Alright, this is Andy, translating Group C pre-match interview for round 16. I'll be starting at 13-minute, 17-second mark. Countdown starting. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, welcome to the ASL Season 16 Round of 16 Group C match, proudly brought to you by Hot 6 Energy Drink.
안녕하세요, 이영경입니다.
In last Tuesday's Group B match, we got to see Russian Mini advancing to the round of 8.
변현재 선수가 나란히 8강에 안착했습니다.
And today's upcoming matches will decide which two players get to join the round of 8. And competition looks to be fierce in today's group, just like the ones we had last week. It is truly a much anticipated match for ASL fans. We're now going to talk to the players and find out about how they're feeling ahead of the match. Hello everyone. Hello. Let's talk to the seeded player of this group, Hero, first. Hello Hero. Hello. It is the round of 16 Hero, and you are awaiting your first match of the season. And your fans really want you to advance out of this group as the first place. What are your thoughts on Group C? Well, at first I thought the group turned out just fine. But then as I began practicing, I came to the realization that every single player in this group is extremely strong. So I know today won't be an easy day for me. Hero, your first opponent today is Ample. And strictly speaking, your ZVT performance in ASL hasn't been too good. But despite that, are you still confident ahead of the match? Well, Ample defeated a formidable Zerg player on his way here, so I must say I'm slightly scared of him. But as long as I play like I'm prepared, I should be able to take him down. Let's talk to Ample this time. Hello, Ample.
처음으로 24강을 뚫고 16강
You made it to
경기를
round
앞두고
16 for the first
있습니다.
time and are now
많이
waiting
긴장도
your
되실
first
것
match.
같은데요.
You must be quite nervous right now, yeah? Actually, nothing's really changed for me. I don't really see a big difference. As long as I can maintain a good form, I should be fine. Like Heroes mentioned already, you took Queen down twice to make it here. If you can manage to break through the TVZ matches today, it is finally your opportunity to set a new career high record. How's the preparation for you? Honestly, I always practice with Hero whenever I have a TVZ match coming up. So it's been quite a struggle trying to find a practice partner, but nevertheless I got to practice with other Zerg players, so I hope I can put up a good match. Then if you and Hero have practiced against each other often in the past, you guys should be well acquainted with each other's playstyle, yeah? Well, I think Hero has the advantage here as he knows my playstyle well. Hero almost never reaches out to me for practice, so it doesn't really work out and vice versa. And then we'll see how this acts as a variable. Alright, let's talk to SoulKey this time. Hello, SoulKey. Since ASL Season 12, you've regularly made it to round of 8. I'm sure you prepare thoroughly this season to keep up the good momentum. How has practice been? Well, it's been quite some time since I last practiced this much, so I must say I'm feeling quite confident. I mean, you are renowned ZVP expert, SoulKey. But it's not just any Protoss player you're facing in the first match. It is Bisu, the Protoss legend, so he's quite a tough opponent, right? Oh yes, definitely, and he's exceptionally good at PvZ as well. I'm actually regretting right now. In hindsight, I should have just picked Royal instead. Regardless, I'll try to play well today. And that was the regretful SoulKey. He says it should have been Royal. Alright, let's talk to Bisu now.
네, 안녕하세요.
Bisu, I actually checked out your match history and realized you have a head-to-head record against every other player in Group C. Among these players, you probably want to take your revenge against SoulKey the most, right? Since he's the one who's eliminated you in the ASL Season 14. Our ASL writer actually mentioned this before the show as well. But honestly, I forgot that we even played that match. I can't really recall what happened during the match. I mean, SoulKey's been on the rise these days, and I know it's not gonna be an easy match for sure. But my hands seem to be warmed up well when I was doing my settings here at the venue today, so I should be quite fine. Bisu, you were unfortunately knocked out in the round of 16 last season, and many fans say that they really want to see you in the round of 8 this season. How confident are you right now? I definitely think I practiced harder than last season, but more than anything, I think I can show entertaining games to my fans today. In what aspect, Bisu? Well, the group consists of strong players, so I was feeling excited to play today's match on my way here. So I'm going to try and have fun today. Bisu says he is excited for today's match. And now we have the fans' questions ready. The first one's for Ample. You made it to the round of 16 for the first time in ASL after defeating Queen twice. Excluding Bisu, it's possible for you to play against the other two Zergs in your group. In this current situation, are you still feeling positive about your advancement? Well, I think this group is the most ideal compared to the other players, to the other groups. So I think I have a good chance today. Then what are the chances of you advancing? I mean, in the round of 24, it was 50%, but now I'd say 40%. Alright, a confident 40%, he says. Alright, this one's for Bisu. You're undoubtedly one of the best players in ASL when it comes to PvZ, but from your perspective, which one's easier for you? A Zerg heavy group or a Terran heavy group? I mean, my PvZ performance is not as good as it used to be during my pro gamer days, so I really don't agree with the statement that much. But rather than playing against Terran heavy group, I'd rather face Zergs. Right now, this one is for Hero. In ZVP matches, you always show a monstrous performance. But in a best of series against Terran players, the performance seems a little diminishing. For you, how are ZVP and ZVT different?
약간 좀 경기 할 때
I mean, my mindset is completely different when I approach those two matchups.
끝낼 수 있으면 끝내버려야겠다 이제 생각.
I tend to be more offensive in
끝나지 말아야겠다.
ZVP, and I'm a little bit more defensive in ZVT. I try to stall out the game. So there's definitely a bit of a different balance when it comes to those two matchups. Right now, the last question is for SoulKey. Group C consists of very strong players, but despite that, none of them have won ASL so far. Of course, there are numerous other factors in deciding the ASL champion like luck or skills, but personally, why do you think these players have been unable to win the ASL despite their skills? Maybe this fan really wants SoulKey to win ASL. I really want to win ASL, no doubt, but so far, maybe I was unfortunate, maybe my skills lagged, but this season I really want to win ASL. Alright, we look forward to SoulKey's performance today. Alright, before we dive into the match, we had a few words with the players, and now the players' resolution before the match starts. Hero, you first. Well, today I'll try to just let down all my pressure and stress and try to just have an entertaining match today. Alright, SoulKey. Well, I'll try to perform well and try to make it to the next round. Bisu? There are many fans supporting me and rooting for me. I'll try to repay that support. And you, Ample? I'll try to have fun today. Alright, thank you guys for your interview. And now we have the Group C match coming up, probably brought to you by Hot Sauce Energy Drink. Let's see who the other two players joining the round of 8 are after today's match.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Group C here in the round of 16 in the season 16 of the ASL. It's been a crazy season so far, and I think this group, honestly, could be a pretty crazy or even crazier one than what we've seen already. Some real powerhouse players today, and some of the players that we have here are the few that have not been knocked out in major upsets in the season so far.
Yeah. But even with the major upsets, like, we have three of the absolute best players in the world right now, right? Like, Hero and SoulKey have been two of the top 4 Zergs, I feel like, for the last, like, 3-4 years at least. And then, of course, Bisu. Like, I mean, Bisu's a killer. The one guy that's kind of out of place here is Ample, but didn't he win his group in the last round? He seems like he's playing really well.
He was one of the players, not a Zerg in this case, but one of the players that kind of just shot right out of the group and really, again, major upset to see him do that. I think he's got a lot of potential here. Can he do it again here? I don't think so. I think that on some level, the history that these players have had matters. But yeah, I mean, the guy I'm looking at is Bisu. I mean, I'm a Protoss player, and Protoss is so far not creating a lot of survivors. And so Bisu, I've got my fingers crossed, not just so that I can steal his build orders and learn, but, you know, I think it's always better for the tournament to have some of each of the races get far. And, of course, tomorrow we're going to be doing the recording for Group D, which has Best, Sharp, Action, and Royal, and that's another crazy group as well. Very interested in seeing how Best does, but honestly, I mean, Royal, Action, and Sharp are all very scary players, especially Royal lately.
Yeah, obviously he won an ASL championship last year, and definitely still one of the best Terran players out there. That's going to be a fantastic group, but really, I look at this group, this could be the group of death. I don't know how Ample is going to be able to fare here. It feels like, well, maybe, you know, he can pop a couple maps, but it's hard for me to imagine him, you know, actually defeating these Titans to get through, because, like, these other three are, like, championship quality, you know? Maybe Bisu's slightly below that right at this second, but obviously he's, like, the most accomplished Protoss of all time and still in good shape. So, like, if he ever wins an ASL, we shouldn't be too excited about it, or not, you know, we should be excited but not surprised about it. Like, just another Protoss champion, Tasteless. I couldn't care less.
Here we go again, Tasteless. No, I get what you're saying. Like, Bisu, like, if he does win an ASL, it would be so cool for sure, but it's not like unimaginable, you know. So one would think, especially with how active he's been, and clearly he's not going to be walking away from StarCraft 1 anytime soon. You would think he should be able to eventually get that.
Yeah, speaking of that, Tasteless, I actually think at this point, because people are like finishing military, everyone's actually older, people are getting married and having kids and stuff, I actually think the crop of players that we have right now in Brood War are literal lifers. Like,
I think so.
I have this funny feeling that you and I are going to be casting Bisu when he's 50 years old still playing. Like, I actually think that at this point.
I think that's actually not crazy to think at all. You look at the place that we're at, you know, military service is obviously the major disrupting factor for Korean pro gamers because they can't make money playing games and basically don't really have time to play games when they're doing that. And then they have to figure out if they're going to go to college as well. With all these guys, we're already past that. And so, and many of these guys are making great money now streaming. So, that's the other nice part is the streaming, you know, basically supplements their ability. It's like supplementary. I can't talk. It gives them enough money that it can fund them to go to events like this and play. And even if they don't win, they go back, they turn the stream on, fans donate money. So it's that system.
Yeah. And, you know, I think they're enjoying life having that additional freedom of, you know, being a streamer but still being able to compete at the greatest game ever. You know, big audience there tonight, of course, as you would expect. I think probably mostly Bisu fans, although we even see some Ample fans out there in the audience, which is nice. Me, myself, I consider myself a little bit of an Ample fan, Tasteless. He has a fun style, and I'm actually, what I'm really hoping for tonight is that we do end up getting an Ample Bisu match. And, of course, the mirror of that is if we get that match, we get another ZVZ, which we know has become the best matchup.
That is actually the best matchup. All these other matchups are stupid and a waste of our time. So hopefully we get another ZVZ. To start this off, guys, we're going to be on the map Retro. This is Hero versus Ample. Let's get this going. Okay, in the top right, in the red, we've got Hero, and just below him, in the bottom right, in the blue, is going to be Ample. And right away, I got to point out, you know, I'm back to laddering and streaming again, and I've been playing most of the maps that we have in this season, and so I've got a little bit more familiarized with Retro. And one of the things I've noticed right away is if you share, like, one side of the map like they do in this game, or let's say you both share the top or the bottom, man, the rush distance is really close. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, you can basically draw a straight line. You know, most maps you get pulled into the middle a little bit and you have to go over some obstructions. Not here. And so it does seem to make a couple of these timing attacks extremely potent.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that as much. I have been playing Retro like a lot. It's a pretty popular map at the moment. I honestly, I like it, though. It gives you such a different game because of how resource light it is. I never thought that I, of all people, would say something like that because I'm kind of like a big macro player generally. But I'm enjoying that aspect of Retro really quite a bit. Just the fact that, like, you actually have to think about what you're doing with your money a lot more. You know, I don't know if we'll see that happen in like a Terran Berserk, but you know, that's certainly something that stuck out to me. I don't know if you've hit that in your Protoss vs Terrans on this map.
To be honest with you, I haven't had as many long games on this map. I agree. I agree with what you're saying. I almost am tempted to say, what if we had a map with maybe even less resources? What would that be like? Just out of curiosity, it's an area I'm kind of glad that we're going into, just because, you know, there's all these different ways you can make maps, and it's like, what if you made it even less, or they had to share even less? I don't know. I'm sure that might be a problem in some matchups, but it is fun to see, especially when you get the best in the world, how exactly they're going to approach it.
Honestly, I think the fewest bases that you could even have a chance of making work would be 9 on like a 3-player map maybe, but that might be too few still. Like it feels like 12 bases is like very little. But looking at this game right now, Ample has gone for a wall in here. He is just going to expand off of it, but he's denying some scouting there, right? And Hero's hanging around with the drone scene if maybe he can identify what's occurring. But of course, he hasn't seen the barracks yet. This could, it could be like a quick factory, but yeah, see how he dives up there and he sees the SCV kind of working around. He didn't see the actual building itself, but when you see the SCV like that, it's like, okay, we know what that is.
That's a pretty big scout, too. If you can keep them guessing, it's so much better. That wall-in is pushed up pretty far just so that the drone shouldn't be able to get over there that easily, but nice scout there by Hero.
It's actually really great planning from Ample, right? To work hard to deny that scout, because that's actually, the thing is you can just play blind and be like, nah, he's not going for it. But like if a vulture shows up and you don't have a sunken colony, you actually just lose the game. So and I got to say, I appreciate watching Hero like risk that drone. That drone could have died there, and risking it, but getting enough intel where he's pretty darn confident what's going on.
So for now, I mean, Terran can't really do that much. This SCV has to try to stay alive as long as possible, ideally long enough to get the confirm on the Spire that should be coming. There's an eBay that's been made, and the Academy has just been started, but this should be pretty slow. I mean, the way that, Terran has developed, there's just no way to attack. And then, for the Zerg side of things, the Zerg can't really attack into the Terran when the wall ends up like that. So, it looks like it should be a fairly uneventful game to start this off. It looks like this drone is going to make the Spire, although I think he doesn't want to give him the 100% certainty that, he'll get to see it there. But it is, in fact, going down.
Yeah, right now, with Ample getting that quick wall in and going for the quick +1, which, by the way, has really come back into fashion in this matchup. Like, a lot of people are going fast +1 right now. So I think we actually will see a little meta shift from Zerg also. If everyone's doing a wall in fast +1, you could open with something like Lurker, right? But here it is going to be Spire, and we're going to have like a very action-packed, like right now there's nothing happening, but it's going to be a very action-packed mid-game, right? Ample should probably go up to 4 barracks here, just produce a ton of Marines and Medics, and then as range and +1 finish, move out and apply heavy pressure to Hero.
We see that 4th barracks coming down now. The Spire's almost done. There's about 500 gas in the bank. There'll probably be another 100 that'll be harvested before you could start those Mutalisks. The Fire Bat is here to cork the entrance so the Zerglings can't do any kind of counterattack. And this is where the pressure really begins to build up. This should force, I don't know, does this force 1 extra sunken colony or not, Artosis? How does this work exactly?
This is a small amount. Like, I think the 1 sunken will be fine. Normally the push out, like an Academy rush is 8 Marines, 2 Medics, and you need 2 sunkens against that or you die.
Okay.
But here it's like it's a little bit of a delayed push, and he was just looking to force anything he could. He did force 1 sunken, so it was actually a very high quality move out. You would consider this, considering it's like an eBay opener. You almost never do any move out with that, but his build was kind of optimized to get that medic out and have a fire bat in the wall, so it kind of worked out. That was actually like. It looks like it's nothing. It looks like it's not a big deal, but I can assure you that he's like, if he looks at this replay, he'd be like, yes, that was a very good move.
And the Fire Bat has actually been sent out over here towards the bottom left. I would not be, well, I was going to say maybe he could try to send that all the way to the top left, but it looks like the hatchery's already started over there. That would be a pretty good scout, though. And it'll give you one more scan.
No, he's doing exactly that, Tastosis. You're right. you're completely right. Like, you can see on the minimap, the Fire Bat is going to the top left. That's like if you ever do any move out, you always make at least 1 Fire Bat, and then as soon as like your Marines are back home, you send it out to scout like this. It's like, it's a unit that you don't need against the mutas, and if you leave it in your base, the mutas will kill it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Now, when you send the Fire Bat over there, do you want to hide it and wait for drones to come, or what's the plan exactly?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can do either way. If you attack it, sometimes that'll just make him send 3 Lings up there or the Mutas up there, but I like hiding it. Like, if you can catch it, the thing is he's doing other things, so on attack move, it actually goes up and hits the hatch, so now Hero's aware of it regardless. So I doubt that he'll let that kill anything, but it does get hidden on the side.
We hear some more scans coming down now. He did hide that fire bat, but it looks like the fire bat already got too close to the hatchery that was making. The mutas now come inside the main, and they get a turret. They take out a couple SCVs and decide to bail after that. No, excuse me, he's actually going to fight a little bit more. I kind of preempted that, but I guess, looking at this Hero says, okay, this is spaced out enough where the Marines are that he can probably take a couple more pot shots. And he's going to bob and weave all the way through here. He is going to eat a few more turret shots on the way out, but at least probably take out one more turret. No, the glaives actually bounce, get the SCV, and then the turret goes down.
Yeah, that was actually a really good harassment run there, I think. And Ample is not getting to play the game he wanted. Look at that, 5 Sunkens in the front. He's not able to play the game he wanted because, Hero's just playing beautifully. Like, he's doing this heavy Mutalisk harassment. Normally, with a build like this, you just counterattack. But there's so many Sunkens that he's scanning, and he's saying, oh, God, if I try to counterattack, the Sunkens will hold me, and the Mutas will kill everything. So he's forced back into his base. Hero, I really feel like Hero's outplaying Ample with the lone exception of that Fire Bat that the Zerglings did not find.
Yeah, with that Fire Bat hidden, I mean, there's going to be a really good moment to run in there, especially if he's microing versus the Mutalisks. He can just, use the fact that Hero's screen is going to be over this exact area here, and then just come in for the stim. Here we go now.
Yeah, it looks like the drones are going to try to run out of here. He's damaging everything, but no kills yet. You're going to want to stim that again, and he should be able to get 2, I think.
Oh!
Ooh, and he does. Very, very nice. And, of course, that's going to be it. But that's, like, huge for a Fire Bat that was just a safety measure against a Zergling counterattack. To cause that loss of mining time to kill 2 drones off, very, very good for Ample.
Another stim is going to drive out these mutas for now. I think we're still waiting to see if that armor upgrade is going to come into play. And, the Hive already coming through here. This is very much your standard TVZ, what we're seeing here. Terran's getting further and further out on the map. I'm sorry, are those 3 Hydras at 12 o'clock that are navigating over to the other side of the map?
Yeah.
Become lurkers?
Yeah,
okay,
right.
so he will actually have lurkers over here. If you can get the eggs morphing over on that ramp, you're basically fine. In fact, they were already lurkers, so he's going to make one hold position lurker trap out here. Oh, but Ample's so on top of it. Oh, no!
Dude, just in the nick of time right there. Luckily, he does have another one up the ramp, so he will just barely be able to stop this. But that's a risky play. We saw Jaedong actually lose doing the same thing in the round of 24. Or maybe that was Gamers 8 I'm actually thinking about. Dude, too many StarCraft games for casting, seriously.
So much stuff.
I'm like, wait, what tournament did I see Jaedong lose doing that exact move where you're like, he's coming, let's do a trap instead of a defense? But Hero does get the second one up the ramp. If there's only 1 lurker up there, it gets busted. 2, you got to be crazy to run up that ramp.
Yeah, you could do it, but it's probably not what you want to do because you're most likely just going to lose all your stuff. So he's got another egg morphing over there. The Defiler Mound is about to come out. Is there a point in time on the game timer that you want the Defiler to come out at? Like, what's the fastest they can get it out?
Oh, yeah, I don't know the exact minute in the game. It's kind of like a flow thing, but yeah, you need your Queen's Nest basically starting, and it's almost always from Queen's Nest to Defiler a direct path, right, where you don't slow anything down. But the Queen's Nest really needs to start like basically before, around the same time as the factory. That's like the actual measurement. It's like a relation thing, right? Like if both of you are making tons of units early on, like things can get delayed. But like if Terran gets a factory going and they finish the factory and you haven't started your Queen's Nest, you're in trouble as Zerg. Like they're going to be able to push you before you have consumed.
Here come those irradiates. It's very deliberate where the lurkers are stacked. Well, actually, what about that one up there? What's the deal with the lurker that's just kind of like...
That's
odd.
That looks to me like it's an anti-drop lurker. It is odd, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure about that. It looked, yeah, the one Marine that runs up the defense matrix here, God, he is really trying to bust this. Kind of an insane moment right now.
He's even keeping the mutas at times on top of lurkers, so it's like harder to target.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, everything about that from Hero was really, really purposeful. The lurker was weird. Maybe because his lurkers were further from the ramp, he assumed the whole army would run up where that defense matrix one did. Because if you can get up with only like one set of spines hitting your Marines, then you'll just break everything. But maybe that was like a flanking lurker for that. I'm not honestly 100% sure. It's such a strange position for this early in the game.
So he might just get a Dark Swarm up in the natural. The funny thing with this map is that because there's this like direct lane that you can go from top to bottom on the right side of the map, is that it's really easy to just go past their army at times. And that's exactly what we're seeing here now. 3 lurkers is enough to panic. Trust me on that one. I mean, he's going to be able to get in range of the command center. Now there's an unload here. Oh my God, talk about a fortunate click there with the bottom dropship. That almost looked like it was in a spot where it couldn't unload.
It's a huge draw. But this attack, like, into the natural is super, super dangerous, as you said. Now, stimming up in, he is just going to kind of run around the lurkers and lings as best he can and get whatever damage. Like, he's not going to kill this base, but definitely good damage. And then, yeah, this, as soon as you get a Dark Swarm up in the natural, things start to fall apart for Terran a little bit. But Ample's putting on so much counter pressure with his dropships. Like, he may be okay because of this.
Yeah, let's see if he can get in over here. He's unloading up into this main. Now, I think one plague, I don't know if he has it. I guess Dark Storm's going to be fine. I was going to say there's no medics there. Another Irradiate goes down on that Defiler. I don't have a shot of the natural. It looks like the Zerg can overpower the Terran here and reclaim the main. But the natural is really where I think the real story is. Great D-Matrix there from Ample.
Love to see it. That's a move you never see. And he does get another dropship off. Another D-Matrix as well, but 3 lurkers at the bottom of the ramp are causing some problems. Now, these Marines, like, dude, he's utilized Defense Matrix so many times here today so far. Like, that is a lot of D-Matrixes, and they've done well. He's definitely dealing some damage, but he has to clear this. His natural is barely mining.
Yeah, he is, with the power of irradiation, going to be able to create an opening where the rest of this can come down. It's so funny how underwhelming Firebat damage is, by the way, whenever you watch him. You know what I mean? Where they're just like, they have to like shoot at a Zergling 3 times to kill it. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I tell you, once you have a little group of them against Zerglings and they have good upgrades, they do start to absolutely shred. But yeah, Firebats are like, they're a funny unit like that. Sometimes you see one and it's like, okay, have you ever seen a Firebat versus Ultralisks? It's like, well, maybe 12 could kill one. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are.
Yeah, I love the plague, by the way. This is this really annoying thing that Terrans have to deal with, where you plague the workers, and then it magnetically like pulls the medics in, and then it just sucks out all their energy, and basically makes them useless. Plague is just such a crazy ability.
It really is. Every time I get plagued, I get angry. Every single time. It's so stupid. Like, Psystorm, at least you can run away. Plague, absolutely not. Now, looking at this game, Ample's in so much trouble. Like, his drops really did do well, but he lost too much time in his natural. That one little Defiler attack really kind of ruined this game for him. You can see he's behind on supply. He's having a hard time applying any sort of pressure. He's just now getting units out on the map. And look at this. Once again, Hero coming down this side, and Ample with nothing there to spot.
Okay. The vessels are going to come through. Nice irradiate on that Defiler, a necessary one. He's just going to try to get this position set up over here. And that's going to be that. Now, the SCVs are being transferred to 6 o'clock. The Lings are chasing. I think there's just enough Marines here. He's going to be okay. Yeah, the Lings are just staggered out enough. They can't really get anything done. But, you know, I really wish that, like, at this point in time, Ample took, like, I don't know, some building and just would float it over that 3 o'clock spot on the map to watch movement there. Because every time Hero's creating these small opportunities to ambush the natural, and that could completely turn the game on its head. And he's about to do it again now.
Yeah, this is a real problem. It just keeps coming down here, and this is where Ample is falling apart. Honestly, on Retro, one of the best things to do is you just throw, like, a very small Marine medic group up on that 3 o'clock base. And it's so annoying for Zerg to deal with that oftentimes they just give up. But here, it's like, here's another push. We have Plagues going down. He can't rally out. He's having a hard time pressuring. And Hero's taking a 4th base during all of this. Hero, like, I don't think Ample played badly or anything. Like, he missed these attacks down the right side. But without a doubt, Hero's just kind of outdoing him in every way.
Another attack comes up here. And, I mean, oh, man, I don't know, Ample. This fire bat is a god. It's like the perfectly placed fire bat. It's crazy. But now the position that Ample had built up is collapsing. From both the top left main and the top right, we're seeing this rally of a ton of units come down. And I don't know where Ample might fall, but between the third and the natural, it just seems like he's so exposed. He doesn't have that many vessels. It looks like he has 2 Irradiates available. A Dark Swarm comes down. This will allow Zerg to gain a little bit more position, and there's really not that much left. He can come in again and just switch from one cloud to the other, get in here, and now this base is basically done.
Yeah, and honestly, this game is basically done. When you're really pushed back this far, when they have Defilers out, if you don't have map control, there's really no way to play against it, because when they get into a position like this, you have to wait it out. You know, even if you irradiate every unit, you still have to wait it out. So, like, you must maintain your map control playing SK Terran, and he has not been able to do that. He has no units on the map. Hero can attack as he likes, at his own whims, in any location. And you can see he's like starting to add a few creeps here and there. He knows that like there's a possibility of battle cruisers coming or whatever. It doesn't matter though, because he's got everything he needs on 4 base.
I love the lurkers staying up here. The fact that the 3 o'clock base is basically a highway that connects the Zerg right to the Terran. If Terran can't get 6 o'clock, Terran might just mine out. I mean, there's just nowhere else to go unless Terran pushes up in that direction. So that's one way this game could end.
I think he'll die before he mines out. Like, we have an Ultras cavern out here. Eventually, Ultras are going to be fielded, and his army's just too small to deal with that. Look at this. Another Defiler coming in, just Plague. Oh, he Dark Swarms? That's weird. Yeah, there you go. Okay, he has both. So he has a Defiler energy upgrade as well. A drop hits the top left. Like, that's a really good drop. That looks like it could do some good solid damage. But you're not coming back with a drop, especially a drop that doesn't even have medics in it. That's how disjointed Ample is. He's loading up drops that don't even have medics in them at this point.
Okay, these Lings are coming down now. And once again, 6 o'clock looks like it could just fall. We're going to have some Marines rally back over here. A lot of fire bats over here as well, which I think is the right move. We don't have more lurkers coming down to meet up with this, and something's pushing out from Ample in the middle of the map. I assume it's his vessels and Medic Marine.
It's just the army size is so small. Look at the line of red coming down the mini-map on the left-hand side. Like, this is the point where you're just box grabbing everything and attack moving. You know, this small group of Marines and medics are not going to be able to hold on against those Ultras, so he has to retreat in the middle. He does have a battle cruiser out here, which can, you know, battle cruisers are great, but it's too little too late right now. Ample just barely holding on to that 3rd base location. But, like, when you start seeing the Ultras pop out and you're in a spot like this, you know that the game can't last much longer. Because you need such, like, you need such a large army to deal with it, and then one Defiler ruins that.
6 o'clock is going to be held. I thought that this might be a game that Ample's about to lose, but as long as 6 o'clock is there, he's basically fine. Looks like this Ultra is going to come up here. And, oh, hold on. Another Dark Swarm comes down. A lot more Lings. We don't have Lurkers coming here yet, but Lings alone will get the job done. I mean, unless you have enough fire bats. Oh my God.
Generally, you kind of discontinue. As you go into Ultras, you discontinue the Lurkers at that point.
Oh, that makes sense. You're right. Yeah, if you see some Ultras out, no, then you want to go into Ling Ultra. You're right. You're completely right.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why the 4 gas is the number that you're kind of fearful of, is because it allows you to go both Defilers and Ultras, and then it's like, well, you have to keep a huge army clumped together against Ultras, but you have to have little armies spread against Defilers, and so there's no real answer. And GG is called. Hero taking that one down. Honestly, Ample was dead for the last 5 or 6 minutes. There was not really any chance against a player of Hero's caliber. And Hero definitely outplaying Ample. Like, you can tell which player is better from that game.
Yeah, I mean, that was it was a really impressive game. I'm glad that Ample put up a good fight. I mean, Ample is clearly a very viable player. If I had to go back to a moment in that game, I would point out the time when Ample tried to force up the ramp, where he lost so many Marines and the 2 Lurkers needed to hold that, just did not die.
Yeah, that honestly, that never really works. Like, a D-Matrix can help, but that was, you could see kind of some desperation. He didn't want to go into a big macro game against Hero. I can't blame him for that. You know, when Zerg's hit that nice macro stride, that's very scary stuff.
So taking a quick look here, this is actually going to be just after that. This is where the drop came into the main. And I actually kind of like the idea of what Amp was trying to do. He was trying to create this chaotic moment on this side of the map so that he could elevator up more infantry into the other side of the map. But at the end of the day, there was just enough here. And these lurkers that got forward, I'm so glad to see Hero pull this off, because this killed off so many workers and basically made the rest of the game so difficult to recover from. Because, I mean, how many SUVs were actually killed here?
Yeah, I don't know. But even just losing the mining is so painful. Look at that. Oh, God, a ton of units being dragged down into it. That's really where he lost control. You know, these drops did a good job, but you must, like, the moment that Defilers are out, you must keep something in the path between their base and your base. Like, if you don't, honestly, you kind of deserve to lose. It's like a very standard thing in Zerg vs. Terran.
So, Ample is in the losers. Obviously, Hero is in the winners match, but we've got another 1 vs. 1 just around the corner here. It's going to be Bisu versus SoulKey. This should be a fun one. Guys, sit tight. We'll be back in a couple minutes and have that match ready for you.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 토킹.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성 사이다 제로. 청량한 이 순간 칠성 사이다로부터. 칠성 사이다.
What's up, everybody? We're back, and it's time to go into this next best of one. We had a great matchup, a great match, I should say, with the Hero and Ample. It was a very straight-up classic TVZ, so it's such a fun matchup to watch. I love that matchup, even though I don't play either of the races. It's just the dynamics of it, the way it pans out, is fascinating. Up next, we've got ourselves a PVZ. This is Bisu and SoulKey. Now, normally I say that SoulKey can kind of just about beat anybody. Like, he's really scary. He seems to win in almost these kind of eerie ways where it looks very, effortless from him. I don't think I don't think he can do that versus Bisu. I think Bisu's play style is very direct. It is very tit for tat. He knows how to basically chase the Zerg around the map constantly and never give them any room to breathe.
Yeah, I like that way that you always describe SoulKey, is that he makes the game easy for himself. It's like that's like I guess something, if you're really smart, you can do. You're like, yeah, let's not overcomplicate this. But no, this will be a tough one. Bisu keeps more pressure on people than basically anyone. Maybe Mini is kind of up there with him right now, but he is the original king of this matchup. The thing is with SoulKey, SoulKey, I think he plays some of the best macro Zerg in the world, but he is 100% willing to do the most insane all-ins as well, right?
That is true.
So, like, yeah, he might look at this and say, it's a best of one against Bisu. Screw it, man. Let's go. 3-hatch Hydra, let's go.
Yeah, maybe an all-in is the way to do it. You know, when it comes to Bisu's playstyle, it's just that because he's always interacting with the Zerg never is able to kind of get away with anything. But SoulKey, I mean, this is a guy we've been talking about forever. We've kind of expected him to kind of move up to the ranks of Queen in the past, and that he would really start to win everything. It hasn't really occurred yet.
Yeah, he has that one KSL victory, so he's a champion here, and of course he was a champion in StarCraft 2. I still think he's... Dude, if it weren't for ZVZ, I honestly think he'd have 2 ASLs.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually.
He really... Yeah, so I look at this group, and I'm like, yeah, Hero can stop him, but I wouldn't be surprised if he beats Bisu and he beats Ample and just, like, gets out in second place or something like that. I guess we'll see, but Bisu is... He has the best background music this season. Legendary song here. But I want Bisu to go through. I love Bisu in the round of 8. That's, you know, I'm not particularly a Bisu fan, but when Bisu's in the round of 8, like, there's a certain level of hype you feel, you know?
Absolutely. Well, with Flash not in this season of ASL, Jadong is getting eliminated earlier. I mean, Bisu's the last of that trifecta that can really go deep. But SoulKey's no easy opponent, and with the best of one up here, I mean, we could see some real trickery here from SoulKey. He knows he just has to pull the rug once on Bisu. We're actually ready to go into this game, so this is our second match of the evening, the best of one portion. Here's SoulKey versus Bisu. Okay, we've got SoulKey here on the bottom left, and Bisu on the bottom right. So, what we talked about in map 1, or game 1, applies here in game 2 because of the map. Because there's that same super quick pathway through the bottom that gives you direct access to where your opponent is. So pressure builds, rushes are very scary.
It feels to me as if these spawns... Now, let me know what you think about this, because I haven't actually thought about this. I haven't actually casted that many PVZs on Retro yet. But it seems to me that positionally, because that 6 o'clock base should, in theory, be Bisu's. It's the one that's close to him. But because it butts right up against SoulKey, it feels like, positionally speaking, this would be the worst spawns for Bisu possible. Being counterclockwise from SoulKey, because SoulKey can probably deny him from taking the close-by third base.
Well, that could be true. I think there's specific moments in PvZ where you just have more as the Protoss and the Zerg, and that's usually when you're going to expand to the third anyways. If he tries to do something greedy and take that, I think that could be... and look, there are ways to play that you would just circumnavigate that. You could try to take 3 o'clock. One of the issues if Protoss doesn't take the 6 o'clock spawn... By the way, when did he pool? Hold on a second.
This was an overpool,
it was overpool,
and it's against actually a 9 gate.
Okay. But if you don't take that 6 o'clock spot, if we do go into a game that's actually that long, the problem is somebody has to take that base eventually if the game goes on for a long time. And seizing that and getting the minerals from it and then making it an obsolete location early on is a really big deal. So we may see Bisu, as the game develops, just force his way in there, take it. It also protects your natural from drops. It's kind of a funny way to look at the game, but because it's there, your natural's sort of okay. And your main is probably just not going to get dropped on this map unless the Zerg has a really superior position. Anyways, all that is just food for thought. We'll see exactly what kind of game this turns into. The Zealot is coming out now. And so Bisu is going to be counting how many Lings hatch, and it's going to be 4. That may prompt him to go back home, but I've seen a couple games where Bisu just sends the Zealot somewhere obscure, or wedges it somewhere odd, and then doesn't, wants the Zerg to try to attack his natural, and then he'll counterattack with that. Now, they're so close together, I think that might be dangerous. And so we've got the second Zealot out now. These Lings are going to go around. And again, this is the
long
feature.
distance to go around there.
It is. It is quite long. But this is a thing that we're going to see a lot of on Retro as we see more games on this map, is that you can go right around each other. Great, Forge. with one person in the middle, and in this case, one person on the bottom. But that was a good call. He went back. And by the way, Bisu's playing a very conservative game. He didn't go for gas right away. He's not walling with a cybernetics core. He's not really cutting any corners at all, which is probably the right idea. And again, you know, Bisu, he's just a guy who's very good at playing straight up and antagonizing the Zerg and making the game very difficult for them. And we're seeing that here now. Like, look, 2 Zealots fraction off immediately and go across the map. And you know, the moment he sees the other Zerglings pull away, he's going to send the other 2 Zealots he made.
And they do pull away. There is a 3rd Zealot walking up right now. The probe looks like it's leading the charge up into this 3rd base location. Of course, that's the first hatch he was able to make out on the map. And now the Zealots get to that ramp, which can be a little bit scary. But he actually decides to go up the ramp. And yeah, I think he's just going to hide behind those mineral patches, as so many Protosses do.
Well, this is the way to do it, because they either have to trade unfavorably with Lings or they have to make a sunken colony. You're also not being pressured when this happens. And to this day, I mean, it never fails to amaze me how good Bisu is at creating a situation where he gets to do this. And by the way, there was a den that was being created. What's so impressive about this from the perspective of Bisu is that he's going to see the Hydras pop. Well, maybe not now. Not now that one Zealot got killed, but he's going to send Zealots in again here. So no matter what, he's going to spot this before the rush starts, which should mean, in theory, that Bisu won't die to a Hydra bus because he has enough time to build enough cannons to not die.
Yeah, well, he did go Zergling speed, so I feel like this is how SoulKey's trying to cover the Hydralisk rush, is by saying, like, okay, well, I have enough speedlings. You better be careful, Bisu. Don't come too close. And he's actually making a lot of speedlings. I feel like he is devoting so many resources to trying to block the scouting of this. I did see recently, Tasteless, like a very interesting, very speedling-heavy 3-hatch Hydra where Zerg actually went range first on the Hydralisks. They just blocked scouting completely, went range first, and went up and gunned down the cannons and ran in with the Lings. Is that something that you've seen more recently, or is that just, am I just, like, no, I caught some weird game?
I mean, that does sound a little bit odd. Normally, you kind of mix Zerglings in with that to try to catch this. By the way, the Hydra's patch, it's spotted. And so now Bisu knows he's just going to try to buy time. Oh, I love that. Look at that. He actually just goes and targets down the Hydra. One less Hydra to shoot down his cannons. And
how many cannons is he going to make here? I'm actually, when we go over the Protoss base and he's not frantically canceling everything and spamming cannons, I get really nervous, Tasteless. He only has 1 cannon up right now, but he does have 3 more warping in.
He's going to get up to 4. Now, the placement is really key here because the 2 cannons at the top would cover the 2 in the bottom, and those are further out. A cannon further back can cover a cannon in the front with its range. And so the Lings are going to come forward here. We may need to see a probe drill. He needs to get the Corsair somewhere over minerals where that he can see, so he can actually do that, though. Interestingly enough, SoulKey seemed pretty confident it was better to take out the Zealots and not dive on the cannons. Sometimes you can make a pylon up at the entrance, like while this attack's happening, to make it like another place that they can't quite move around. The 3rd cannon is going to finish. This cannon just barely has enough in the chamber to take out one more Hydra. There's, I think, going to be 5 Hydras up here. I mean, Bisu could lose, man. This is a little bit scary.
Dude, I'm a little bit nervous. This is either the best hold ever or like a complete flub, because down goes that cannon. Another one finishing. He's pulling his probes a couple times, but like so far he is holding. It looks like this cannon may get canceled. Oh, a Zealot coming out taking shots for that cannon. Yeah, he has to cancel that. Like this Hydra count's getting pretty high.
Yeah. You can use the Corsair to confirm, like, you know, all right, are you for real going to make this many more units? and that is exactly what he's doing. You can see the Hydras continuing to trickle out here. The Forge goes down. He was actually getting +1 attack, which looked a little bit odd when he did that. The cannon comes in again. The Hydra, excuse me, comes in again. I can't talk. And I'm a little bit less worried for Bisu with that cannon on the right, but when the gateway falls, that cannon on the right and the one above it are just as exposed as everything else. So he needs to make probably 2 or 3 more cannons here. He's got Zealots, and I don't know how far along Charge is. Charge really changes the game because suddenly the Zealots can, normally they're just soaking damage. They're not so much dealing damage. Then they actually just come out and start to pummel the Hydras.
Well, I hope for his sake it's almost done. With only 3 cannons, I feel like SoulKey might be able to bust this, but he's not really pushing forward at the moment. Dude, I'm a little bit confused, I have to admit. I feel like SoulKey was going to break this. It really looked like it for a moment. And Bisu had to pull probes multiple times, but he didn't really lose probes while pulling them. Was this just like a perfect defense, or did SoulKey like slightly mess up?
I think SoulKey didn't mess up. I think it's just.
So it was just like an amazingly good defense from Bisu?
Seems like
it seems like he got the minimum to defend with.
Yeah, no, he really did. Like, if you look, it was weird about it, too, is that he even made another, he was making the attack upgrade. It's like, are you sure you're going to cover that? I think because he made the cannons hugging the structures so much, I think he thought he was going to be fine, but he still basically made it work. So, with the one Corsair, as Zealot speed finishes, you move out and kill this Overlord that's out here, and then go back to scouting. Usually the charge lot push now is an honesty check on the Zerg. You're usually not going to kill anything. We do see Bisu kill a lot of players with this, which just goes to show you how good he is, because he's just kind of winning with like one of the core moments of the build. But that's not supposed to be like the end part of the build at all. He's going to come up here. This should be turtled up well enough that it's going to be pretty difficult to get Zealots in. And so he at least forces the Sunks.
I like it. I like seeing moves like this. It's kind of like the, Jurax Academy type of thing. You're like, okay, are you honest? You have the Sunkens? Okay, well, at least you're not being too crazy with how heavy you're droning. Now, right now, Bisu is actually, he's popping out some DTs, some High Templars, and the Robo coming up very quickly as well. Is he looking to maybe like drop into the main base, or is he afraid of a lurker switch from SoulKey?
No, he wants to drop, 100%.
Oh, okay.
Here's the funny thing about maps that are shaped like this. You were talking about your concerns with Bisu's 6 o'clock third, and could he control that? But one of the funny things for Zergs on maps that are shaped like this is that their mains are very easy to drop DTs quietly into, because it's a straight line from the shuttle. You just send that right in. Now, he's actually putting more pressure on here. I think as he realizes lurkers are morphing, he's trying to see what he can and can't force. I wasn't expecting to see Bisu. Sorry, go ahead, Artos.
No, I was just saying that was very solid defense with like the lurker egg morphs. Love to see that from SoulKey. Just kind of holding Bisu off. But I feel like Bisu's playing like a fantastic game here with his army movement.
Yeah, SoulKey is so good at that lurker morph stuff, where it's like now nothing dies. Like, you're literally not going to kill a single unit. I'm getting the most value ever imaginable here. So he does have a DT with the mix, so he can kill this egg if he wants to. It is a bit odd to see that Bisu's still roaming with this after seeing lurkers with the natural, but I mean, I guess it hasn't failed him yet.
Kind of a funny location. Did you see where you put the lurker behind that mineral patch? Is he going to hold position that and just wait to blow up probes like minutes from now? Is that what that's for?
Yeah, I think it is. You know why? Because the 6 o'clock spot, the entrance where the ramp is, it's pretty far away from where the Nexus would go. Oh, does he see this?
Woo. No. I think he's just like chilling there with the lurker, and that's gonna ruin.
He's gonna
2
kill all
volleys
the
and the
workers.
probes are all dead.
No, you're totally right, because where the cannons are going to be made, it's going to be closer to where that ramp is, so he won't have cannons to spot for that. So that's like just so smart. I could see Bisu losing this game just because of that.
That one lurker that walks into position like literally minutes ahead of time. Like, we didn't even have a probe up there. He's like, I'm going to send a lurker here and hold position in. And I mean, it's crazy. It will take 2 volleys. If there were 2 lurkers in there, they would literally kill every single probe. But generally, you transfer so many workers to the third base as Protoss, because it's kind of coming in late. You want to super saturate it immediately. That I could see this really getting a good 10, 12 kills.
Scourge are ready, by the way. The whole idea of dropping the DT in there did not work. Oh my gosh. Shuttle down.
Wow.
Oh, nice reaction, though. He gets the DT out.
I wonder if you could look at that and say, wait, how did you know? And then be like, maybe there's a lurker here. I don't know if that's maybe beyond even Bisu to figure out. But he is starting to pressure the front a little bit. SoulKey's starting to turtle heavily, and he is trying to retake that top left base. I'm actually really excited that the game is going this way between these two players specifically, because I think that SoulKey is maybe the best like 4-base turtle Zerg in Zerg vs. Protoss that there is.
Yeah, he's extremely good at this.
It's like him and Larva I always think of for this type of position where it's like lurkers and sunkens, and the Zerg is like, yes, 4 base is enough.
I don't think Bisu can push this, can he? Okay, the Observer goes down. I mean, this is such a bottleneck position. Oh, here we go, Artie! Oh,
Tasteless.
My God.
10 kills, 10 kills. Absolute insanity. 11 kills.
Oh my God, it's so painful to see those Observers go down. Yeah, I mean, I think Bisu had plans to crack this position open. Oh, we got a Templar moving in here.
Templar up there to tank some damage.
I know.
Has a lot of storms still. Like, he's gotten rid of the static D that was in the front there. It's just 4 spread lurkers. If he gets an Observer up there, maybe he still can break it.
I think
that lurker's still dealing damage, by the way. Very, very good move from SoulKey.
I think he's all in here. I think he's not even transferring probes. He's like, well, that's just, you know, we're just not going to do that, basically. There's no Observers. Bang!
Oh, man. Loses that Observer again. The Scourge plus Overlord combo just denying so much of this vision. And Bisu has to pull back. Ah, man, this feels like Bisu giving up the game when he pushes that hard and then gives up and just hasn't cleared that lurker.
No, I think this is the most obvious all-in from here. He's just like, well, I mean, you know, I have to push you now. I know what it means to lose all my probes in my third, right as I take it. Really, SoulKey won off just one full tactic alone. And it's funny, you can see Bisu's like almost doing it, but there's just a couple lurkers in the back, a couple eggs just finishing, and he just rebuilds into this position. And then another Observer's gonna fall. Yeah, there it goes.
That choke is just so small, so hard to break into. And his Nexus almost goes down to the single lurker as well. He will go back and save it. But yeah, it does feel like he made this decision completely based off of losing all those workers. And, you know, the amount of time it takes to clear that out, he thought he might be able to break SoulKey. Obviously, you know, Bisu, this guy's a champion. He looks at the situation, says, my highest win chance is here, and goes after it. And unfortunately, that doesn't work out. And it goes from this game where I feel like Bisu was playing magnificently and maybe was ahead to, I feel like SoulKey, it's his game to lose at this point.
I think you're 100% right. You know, it's funny, like, I'm thinking back at all of my games, I never check behind the mineral patch, you know, for lurkers. Like, that doesn't even occur to me. I guess watch out for this if you guys are laddering. Funnily enough, there's nothing up here to really defend the third base. Lurkers are going to relocate and try to do this. Again, it's looking so bad for Bisu here. There's a supply number that Protoss really just can't quite drop to against a Turtle Zerg, and it feels like we're right about there. You know, that's going to be a GG.
Pretty low. Well, SoulKey does take it, and we'll go to that winner's match, which means we get everything we wanted, Tastosis. We get a ZVZ, best of 3. And, yeah, Ample versus Bisu. I think that can be actually a really, really interesting match with the very aggressive style of Ample. So, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Honestly, I thought that Bisu was outplaying SoulKey a bit, but that one lurker, just watching that ripple through the game and the decision-making that happened from there, really fascinating.
It's funny, it's like very rarely do you have just like one well-placed lurker in a PvZ win the game. TvZ for sure, yeah, happens all the time, but to see that, I mean, it's just, he knows so many ways to kind of, again, like I said before, make the game easy for himself, right?
Yeah, he's like, okay, I leave this here, and I'll get all the probes when they transfer in. And yeah, you're screwed. You have to attack me, and I'm super turtled. And that choke seems so hard to break, man. That is a very strong defensive point. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that on Retro.
Guys, short break. We'll be right back. Here, B. Yep.
우주급 텐션 최고의 토킹 핫식스 토킹.
함께 가자 친구야. 같은 조에 좀 무조건 함께 하자. 함께 하고 싶은 사람.
모든 사람 통일 아닐까요? 이렇게 두 명이
이렇게 두 명이요?
100%가 아닐까.
내가 박진호 선수랑 방금 전에 또 컨텐츠를 함께 했는데
누구도 얘랑 하면은 다 안진마거든요. 자신감이 너무 넘치는 것 같아요. 제가 생각했을 때
너무 잘난 척한다 못하면서.
진짜 만나고 싶은데 근데 또 몰라요. 올라가서 만날 수도 있어요.
패가 있어. 그러니까 박진호 선수가 이런 점을 지적했어. 왜 자신감이 넘치는지 모르겠다.
기석이요. 아니 기석이가 제가 상대하기가 좀 편해가지고 몇 번 만났었는데 항상 제가 이겼었던 걸로 기억을 해요.
기석이랑도 컨텐츠를 찍었어.
네.
민철이를 제일 만나기 싫대.
진짜요?
저는 이 선수를 보겠습니다. 뚫으려고 하는데 안 뚫려요. 철벽처럼.
저는 만나고 싶은 상대예요. 네.
이렇게 엇갈리네 서로의 마음이.
이게 사실 사태가 제가 뽑고 싶었다기보다 사태가 형 뽑아주세요 이러더라고요.
일장이가 본 김태형 선수의 저그전.
이번에 솔직히 깜짝 놀랐어요. 무려 김명훈을 상대로 2승을 하길래
인결승리 1티어를 떨구면서
상당한 친구구나 이제 좀 싶었죠.
그러면 반대로 이 선수하고 16강에서 만나기는 좀 껄끄럽다.
저는 이 친구요. 제 인간 삼성이에요. 약간
어떤 좀 부분이 힘든가요, 김태형 선수가?
그냥 너무 화가 나요. 이 친구랑 게임을 하면.
퍼스널리티가 망가지는 느낌이다.
나는 여기서 제일 힘든 거는 현재가 제일 힘들어. 컨트롤이 너무 좋아. 리그 컨트롤 이런 거 그냥 게임할 때 짜증나가지고
이분 저는 그러니까 토스 팀이에요. 리그가 그래야 좀 재밌잖아요. 종족별로 분포가 잘 돼야 이제 좀 좋아가지고 저 토스들을 좀 별로 안 만나고 싶긴 했어요.
왜냐면 나만 만나면 내가 떨어뜨리니까.
그죠.
살아남으려면 날 피해라. 약간 이거 흥행을 위해서 나와 토스 붙이지 마라. 내가 토스 떨어뜨릴 테니까.
조금
네.
이 사람이요.
이 질문에 김윤환 선수가 나온 건 처음이야.
그렇겠죠. 저도 재미로 뽑았으니까. 저에 대해서 잘 알기도 하고 머리를 좀 잘 쓰거든요. 그래도 한 가지 가장 큰 거는 지면은 이게 롤링감이 될까봐 이미 졌잖아요. 근데 한 번 또 진다? 저 진짜 살기 싫을 것 같아요.
베스트 워스트 이런 걸 떠나서 나하고 좀 사연이 있다.
이 친구가 그나마 그 사연이 있는 것 같아요.
어떤 사연이요?
BJ를 추천했거든요, 이 친구한테. 저번 주에 또 저한테 떨어졌잖아요.
그러네, 사연이 많네.
같이 게임을 했을 때 항상 이제 좀 좋았던 기억이 있던 사람으로 이제 태경이 형이랑 이제 대학 대전 같은 것도 있었고 했는데 그때 엄청난 명경기로 졌거든요. 그리고 나서 ASL 때 이겼는데 그런 게임을 또 하고 싶어요.
함께 뭔가 부각되고 각광받을 수 있는 그런 명경기를 만들고 싶다. 멋있다. 역시 프로 마인드 다르다. 내가 생각하는 종족 징징 1순위.
일단 저그는 여기 없어요. 아쉽게
많이 언급했어.
그 피를 이어받은 이제 그 형이 그 동생이라고 저그가 안 좋다고 많이 얘기를 하더라고요. 사실 뭐 그런 점이 썩 밉진 않은데 테란드는 근데 이 친구 있네. 여기 숨어 있었네. 못 알아봤었어.
내 표.
솔직한 친구. 힘든 건 힘들다고 얘기를 하는데 사실 그게 어찌 보면 징징일 수 있으니까.
이 선수 이건 좀 부럽다 하는 선수 있어. 커리어가 될 수도 있고 외모가 될 수도 있고.
그래도 내가 ASL은 이제 우승한 적이 없어서 영재가 최근에 또 우승했잖아. 그래서 영재가 우승한 게 좀 부러워. 그래서는 좀 성적을 내고 싶다라는 생각을 갖고 있지. 요새.
이 선수로 하겠습니다.
영진이?
영진이가 이번에 만났는데 많이 탔더라고요. 여기 들어보니까 딸이랑 같이 수영장도 가고 밖에 이제 막 돌아다니고 이제 그런 모습이 보기 좋더라고요. 그래서 그런 부분이 부러운 것 같아요.
용 선수는 좀 경기 안에서의 이미지와 이미지와 경기 바깥에서의 이미지가 좀 다르다.
그런 걸로 보면 이제 일장이지 않을까. 일장이 막 외적으로는 되게 순수하고 뭔가 좀 착하고 그러잖아. 근데 게임 내에서는 무시무시하게 좀 몰아붙이고 그런 게 제일 좀 다르지 않나.
5일장 되게 운영적이라는 걸로 사람들한테 되게 이미지가 쌓여 있는데 엄청나게 심리전이랑 전략적인 거를 생각하면서 게임하는 게 제가 연습을 많이 도와줘봤을 때 이 사람
오, 김윤환 선수.
네, 이번에 ASL 연습을 좀 도와줬거든요. 진짜 여기 있는 사람들보다 제일 열심히 준비를 했어요. 평소에 이제 개그맨이라고 생각을 많이 했었는데 게임에 대해서는 진지한 사람이구나. 이제 그런 걸 많이 느꼈었죠.
이 겉가속이 다른 선수 중에 한 선수로
네.
일자리 꼽혔었어.
저요?
허허실 씨. 하지만
네.
경기 안에서는 정말 고도의 심리전과 하고 좀 과감하게 수를 두는 선수다.
그런가요?
이런 평가를 또 하기도 했어. 어떻게 생각해?
저는 그냥 뭐 하면 하는 그냥 뭐 평범합니다, 사실. 경기 끝나고 이제 뭐 먹을까 이제 생각하고. 네.
명훈님 자꾸 온 만큼 버그전 더 해서 보여드리고 싶어요, 제가.
시드자가 굉장히 좋다는 걸 느꼈어요. 그래서 지금 목표는 시드자가 되자.
이번에는 그 조연 역할을 안 하고 주연이 돼서 우승 한번 노려보도록 하겠습니다.
제가 맨날 상황만 갔었는데 우승할 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
갈 때 됐다.
됐다.
Got a lot of metal music this season, Artosis. It's all guitars, the hardest kind of songs to play too. For the hardest game to play. I'm excited. I'm excited for this one. ZVZ has been more interesting now than it has ever been in the 25 years of StarCraft.
Oh yeah, that one game changed everything.
You know what? It wasn't even just that. We've had a couple games where there's like a lot of new ideas. These extractors that are made further out in the naturals with long distance mining. That's been interesting. There's been more hatch on ramp plays. But also, yes, of course, we did have a game where we got into actual endgame tech, where we had lurkers running around the map in ZVZ. If you didn't see it, go back and watch it.
Yeah, that was truly the most fun ZVZ I have ever cast. It's such a rare unicorn of a game, but hopefully it won't be forever. You know, once you show something like that, sometimes it'll pop up again. I'd love to see it between these two, but I think they're going to be kind of aggressive against each other. Like, SoulKey always has like a special tactic plan for every ZVZ, but not that that's really saved him from having hard ZVZs in the past. I don't think he's going to take it late. I think he's going to try to do something with Zerglings.
I think you're probably right. We're going to go to Polypoid, 4-player map here for map number 1. Map number 2 is Invader. And after that, Neo Dark Origin. This ZVZ's ready, guys. Let's find out who gets that 5th spot in the round of 8 here, the ASL Season 16. Okay, we've got Hero in the bottom right, and I'm sorry, Hero in the top right. I think SoulKey on the bottom right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you got it.
It's not an easy job casting this game.
No, it's you lead a tough life.
It's okay. What's his ID and which color is he? I can do this.
Yeah. You know, Polypoid. This is a slightly updated version of Polypoid. You know, that's actually thrown me off. I got to check with you, right? Because there's like certain things I look for to differentiate maps because I don't really pay attention on the loading screen. You know what I mean?
Like
I
actually do this too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll get into a map and I'll be like, oh, I'm in the bottom right and there's not much grass. This is Polypoid. Or I'm in a left spawn and the minerals are shaped like this. Okay, it's Vermeer, right? And since they updated this, they updated it to the best mineral patches that we know of so far. And I've mistaken Polypoid for Vermeer so many times now because of the left-hand spawns with the mineral patches in a different place. I keep building all my stuff in the wrong location.
Yeah, this has happened to me. There was a period where Polypoid came out and it looked enough like Fighting Spirit in some spawns where I would like make my pylon in the wrong spot and I'm like, oh, I was two-gating this guy, but I made it in the back of my base.
Exactly what I'm talking about, where, you know, you want things in a certain orientation towards the ramp, and then it's like, oops, little mistake there. Of course, building placement in the early game, very, very important in StarCraft, in all matchups, even ZVZ. You know, you set up these little walls and stuff where your opponent can't really jot in or whatever, right? Like, you see the place that's such a common pool placement, and that's circling tight, right? Like, you can't slip lings through there.
So Hero is going to go for the hatch at the ramp at the entrance, like we've seen here many times before. You can already see the observer highlighting the possibility of a long-distance extractor mining maneuver, like we've seen before. And, you know, it's funny because it seems like all this counterintuitive stuff is suddenly coming up in StarCraft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember, you know, the very, very first year the game was out, and there was like a lot of gaming websites back then. I mean, the internet was kind of Wild West, but there was like many websites that were covering gaming stuff and many places that had discussions for StarCraft. And I remember just reading this article about, because when I was a kid in high school, I would take these computer programming classes where I basically would just sit on the internet and read StarCraft stuff all day, and then I would cheat and I would get my coding stuff on a disk and just put it into the PC and be like, here's the thing I programmed so they weren't flunking me. And so I would be reading all these articles. And I remember seeing this article that was explaining that when you take a base, if the gas and the minerals aren't near each other, you need to make the hatchery or nexus or command center buy the minerals and not the gas. Because the minerals are more important, and even if you have to make it further away from the gas, you just have a few more workers, and that's how it's optimized, right? And this seems so obvious now, right? I mean, there really are these things we take for granted. And then now we have a new technique where Hero's hatchery that's at that ramp, there's a possibility we have an extractor put at a long distance and long distance mined. And the reason why that's crazy is that since gas is the most important thing in the matchup, much more important than minerals, why wouldn't you just make the hatchery right there? Well, it's because you can play a more skimpy early game like the one we're seeing here from Hero and not get overwhelmed down there. So it's like all of these different ideas coming together to make for a technique that we just would never normally have considered for the last 2 decades plus.
No, it's wild to see, honestly. And I love to see things like this evolve over time. And actually, you know, we're about to have like a mass circling versus mass circling game, which actually shows more power of Hero's strategy. He's got the 2 hatches, but he's up in this concave. How does SoulKey break that? That's so hard to break.
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I do wonder if you have the way that SoulKey plays versus the kind of modern way that Hero's playing. You know, sure, I guess Hero can't be busted this early and can probably get a few more drones out, but at the same time, like, isn't SoulKey, if he lasts through this, isn't his setup just better?
Yeah. That's certainly true, right? Like, if he just defends and goes into his own mulas, like, he's going to have that sinking gas a lot quicker. But he's like trying to break there. But look, this doesn't look like it's doing particularly well. And in fact, he turns around, loses a lot of his Zerglings, and says, okay, well, screw it. I guess we're getting out of here. Setting up his evolution chamber, so he's going to get some spores up. But are they going to be just slightly slow here?
He's got 1 spore about to finish in his main, but it looks like the trajectory of these Mutalisks is actually going to go down to this natural. I mean, there are going to be Mutas hatching, but does he have enough in time?
Well, I love that he goes after Zerglings instead of drones because his Onlings are coming across the map, so putting any damage there can be really strong. Now, Scourge pop out, and he actually knew that that was going to occur and blocks them, loses 1 Muta, but gets rid of 6 Scourge. Very nicely done here from Hero, and now he's going to attack the natural with those Zerglings.
Yeah, I mean, does he have enough to deal with this? I see 2 Mutas out, but aren't there just way more here for Hero? Now,
yeah, he's got 4.
Yeah, this is
just crushing.
This is over, right?
Yeah. No, this you can't win this. Like, he's gonna lose the hatchery for sure. Maybe he can like stop the Mutas from technically killing him right this second. No, I don't think he can even do that. Like, the Zerglings can come up and counter.
Yeah, he just kills this.
Yeah.
And there's no sunken colony here, so the Lings are a real threat.
Yeah, he has more Lings, so like they can just kind of attack in, and this is bad news right now for SoulKey. You know, we've talked about it a lot. ZVZ has been something that's hurt him in these tournaments, and you know, Hero actually the one that's kind of bringing this fresh view of that kind of defensive macro hatchery up the ramp. He's able to hold on against what SoulKey wanted to do, which was mass circling, and now getting completely cleaned up. That's game.
Well, there you go. You mentioned it at the very end, Tastosis, but we're probably going to be mentioning it throughout these games here today. SoulKey does not seem to be viable ZVZ still.
Well, and here's the thing. Like, I think his win rate isn't as bad as what we're saying, but SoulKey's level, watching ZVZ hold him back is almost heartbreaking because it feels like he is someone who should have a ton of championships. But, like, I think his win rate in ASL for ZVZ, I would guess it's like 50%. And, like, that's for a lot of Zergs. That's where it sits. It's really hard to have a good win rate, ZVZ.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But I think it's what's happening inside the games and even less about the win rate that is more alarming. And I would love to see him win more, but then you have these ZVZ games where it's like when those Lings were attacking up the ramp, I'm like, okay, so what is your plan? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, how long have you been playing this game? This can't be the answer, right? Maybe he thought he was going to force more Lings or something, but yeah, I mean, it made for a very easy setup where the Zerglings from Hero just counterattack and win. We're going to go to the map Invader. Let's see what happens, man. Right now, Hero looking ready to just get out of this group and go on to the round of 8, unless SoulKey can turn this problematic mirror matchup around for him. All right. This is a 2-spawn map. So SoulKey's in the top left, Hero's in the bottom right. And when you have a map that only has 2 spawn locations, you don't have to do that whole 4-player map Overlord path. You know, like, okay, I'm gonna scout over this natural. That's I'll scout towards whatever the natural that's close to where I start out in the game is. This allows for some techniques where you can make a couple Zerglings and go around their Overlord and wait for right before their Overlord scouts you to then send all of your Zerglings in at once. I think the first person I saw do that was Jadong. This is a funny thing is, you know, Tastosis, when you were younger and you were watching OSL and MSL, and for the younger viewers, those were the 2 original StarLeagues. That if you were a fan of the game, you watched. Did you watch every match, or did you just watch the Terran matches?
Yeah, I watched every match. I couldn't get enough of this stuff. So I definitely would rewatch a lot of Terran matches, but I literally watched everything.
So I tried to watch as much as I could, but I would occasionally skip out on like some TVTs and some stuff like that. Tastosis, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, I was just gonna say that, like, just to finish
I think
this
the
thought,
Overlord might have caught a view of that Tastosis as it ran.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's going to go down and check this. All I was going to say is I watched a lot of ZVZ because obviously Day 9 was a Zerg player, and we shared a bedroom. So like I saw a lot, but I remember seeing stuff like that used here. He spots Hero's Giga Cheese hatch in main.
Yeah.
Now, SoulKey, being pretty coy, gets the Overlord in range. Remember, the Overlord has more range than the constructing hatchery. So he can peek at it, he can just scoot back. And I wonder what exactly the way to handle this is. I guess you let the hatchery finish and then just kill it, and it's like, all right, good job, dude.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you make nothing but Zerglings from here, while going layer. Yeah, this looks perfect from SoulKey because you know it's a hatch first, so your pool will be done, and you just wait for that to pop, and you go kill it. And that's Hero's going to get that attacked, and oh no, you can't attack it until it finishes.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
You have to wait.
Yeah,
you have to wait.
So if he does attack it too soon, then it's canceled, and he gets the money back, and he can make another hatchery. Oh, don't go. Okay, SoulKey, careful, dude.
Yeah,
that was a little bit
like. Okay, well, anyways,
I feel like I
he will be able to kill it.
Russian roulette, and he like pointed the gun at his head, and I'm like, no! And he clicks, and there's no bullet in the chamber.
Yeah, smiles at you. He's like, I knew all along.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I knew that Hero wasn't going to look for that. I'm like, I don't know if you should be playing this Russian roulette game, man.
Yeah.
So he denies the hatchery. You know, because it finishes, it's just 300 minerals lost forever. It does produce 2 larvae, and now just 1 because it dies when it's not on creep. And I guess that's 2 Zerglings that could be used to counterattack here. I think it's pretty clear that SoulKey knows that. Those 2 Zerglings are going to come up. Do we have a pair of Zerglings hatching? We do.
Yeah, very good defense there from SoulKey. And, you know, Hero, he's trying to hold this ramp right now. SoulKey obviously has a very good amount of lings. He has a quicker layer. I believe he should be up a drone as well, right? Maybe not. Maybe not with the amount of Zerglings that he's made. But definitely SoulKey, it feels like he has a good lead after killing that hatchery.
Look at this. There's Zerglings attacking eggs. Eggs have so much armor, it takes forever to kill them.
Yeah, it really does. I don't think you're too worried about that, but I like that type of pressure, too. Oh, God, he tries to attack up again. What is SoulKey with attacking up ramps, man?
The Spire is done, and Overlord just now hatches, so SoulKey's got just enough supply. I mean, if I'm seeing this right, he's going to have a pretty big edge in sending Overlords out here. I think Hero's going to lose this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, if you go proxy hatch, sending a drone out on like 8 supply and it gets found and killed immediately, that can't bode well for your chances in the most punishing mirror matchup in the game. A lot of mutas being made right now by SoulKey.
Mutas haven't even started yet. He's still about 100 HP out on that Spire. So
yeah, I think this is very close to over.
Okay. Oh, what? The Zerglings are soaked in butter.
The grand plan is finally coming to fruition. Oh my God. Dude, 2 drone kills? 2 drone kills he gets right there off of his 2 Zerglings. Hero is unbelievably dead. He's just going to GG here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, when the mutas are attacking the lings, I mean, there's just nothing to do. But when you try to be, you know, the Hamburglar and hide a hatchery inside their base, this is what you get. You know, you look like a genius when it works, but, you know, if you're spotted, then this is the kind of game you're going to get. The Zerglings are still killing drones.
Yeah, even catches that Muta with his 2 Scourge that come down. He's just microing heavily on his own Mutas, so we are going to tie that up 1-1. You know, cool to see Hero bringing a lot of new ideas here today, but SoulKey going to be able to absorb that cheesy play and move on to this final game.
Yeah, I do appreciate Hero trying that. You know, I was talking about how you could run Zerglings around scouting paths on that map, but you can also just send a drone out right away and do something cheesy like that. Not a terrible idea. You know, and had SoulKey not seen that, when the 9 pull comes out, suddenly it's 4 to 6 of Hero's lings just walk right in there and kill all the drones.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're going to have to go back to the final ZVZ then. SoulKey does pull one off. It was a very different game. It was a game where he spotted the sneaky move and punished. But what happens if Hero doesn't try anything sneaky at all?
Well, we're going into a 2-player map once again. And, you know, the 2-player maps do seem to give us more interesting tactics in ZVZ. You know, you were talking before about, like, you know kind of where their overlords are going to be, so you can run things around, things like that. Let's see if there's something cheesy coming out of either of these players again.
Always cool to see Hero meditating. That's used more and more with these pros. These tense moments, just focus on the breath for the next minute you have off before we start the game. So we're getting the cheers in the audience. SoulKey's in the top left. Hero's in the bottom right. Just like Invader, this is another map with only 2 spawn locations. Whenever you have a map with only 2 spawn locations, there are ideas and build orders and strategies that can be employed that you just can't do on a 4-player map or even a 3-player map. Because, you know, there's too much that's led up to chance. You have to scout and figure out where they are first.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that with less randomness, there's more strategy almost in this one matchup, right? I don't think that's the case in any other matchup. This is really the only one where I'm like, oh, it's a 2-player map, so there's like, it feels like we get more creative games here. But that's like kind of a, it almost reminds me of like, you know, people that are trying to be creative in some way. Oftentimes, if you just give someone like this open thing, like go be creative and create like a story, that's actually very hard to do. Whereas if you're like, go be creative, create a story about, you know, a guy in the future that woke up after 1,000 years or something, right? Like if you give some kernel of
and then you go, chapter
direction.
1, I went onto YouTube and saw ASL season 300.
Yeah. AI Tasteless and
Yes.
Head in a Jar Artosis are still there.
They were both holograms, but as funny and as informative as ever.
Which is not much. But yeah, it makes me wonder, right? Because like if you do give a little bit of restrictions, oftentimes that makes for more creativity, and I feel like we see that in ZVZ on these 2-player maps.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if that's actually related, but I think about that a lot.
We've got Hero going for gas and pool, but it's a gas and pool later than what SoulKey did. I think SoulKey went for a wait, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're exactly timed out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's
sorry.
the same.
I think this is a mirrored build order up to the point of where the hatchery was placed.
And yeah, the Hero once again with it on the high ground. So if SoulKey tries for like one of these Zergling busts again, Hero should be able to hold that pretty easily. Yeah, I feel like this type of game, what we're looking at right here, I feel like it should be SoulKey favored if he can identify that, you know, Hero is going to be able to defend any sort of Zergling attack, right? So you can make a few less Zerglings and maybe focus more heavily on getting into the Mutalisks and having your second gas in a really great location.
How long have we actually had this hatch at the ramp thing?
It's
I know
new.
that yeah, I'm just wondering, like, is it like this year new? Was this like going on and being tinkered with for a couple of years?
I mean,
it like, you know how
yeah,
like I remember like Telly knew a long time ago that some people were going double robo in PvT, and I remember you were laughing like, what? That can't be good. But then eventually it really did become a thing with the storm drops. But I just wonder like if this was in the bloodstream of the meta, but just hadn't become as common as it is now, because it seems really good.
Yeah, I think part of it has to do with the development of the Zergling conga line. You know how people defend ramps and stuff by placing Zerglings exactly next to each other so that if any lings attack up, the 2 lings hit at once? Like, I think that actually led to this, because every 2-hatch play in the main used to be them in a Sim City at your main base, so you could defend everything easily, like maybe with one sunk in, you know, everything's close together, blocking each other. But now that we have these like Zergling lines, you can kind of put it anywhere you want, and it's just going to be there for larva. So, no, I think that this is it's a pretty new thing that we're seeing.
It's wild, man. I also wonder what this looks like when, or if, like, both players are doing the same thing. Like, are you both making extractors and long-distance mining?
Yeah,
How
I
does this
wonder.
work exactly? I guess we're eventually going to find out. We've got so many Zergs so far this season. The Evo chamber is placed in such a way that it's going to be a little bit harder to bust this. But, no, I think this is impossible
SoulKey is
to bust,
actually... SoulKey's outplaying Hero this game. right? It's the exact opposite. He identified what was going on. The first time he played against us, he overmade Zerglings and couldn't break.
Yeah.
And now Hero has overmade Zerglings and can't break SoulKey because SoulKey just sets up that Sunken. And of course, with that Evo, that's super helpful as well. Look at this. The drone goes in front. Between the Sunken and the Lings, like, look at this. 3 Lings are attacking the Sunken. That's exactly what SoulKey wants. It's high armor. It's never going to die to 3 Lings. And he just completely smashes that incoming attack.
He's also having some of the Zerglings get fished out. Not by choice, by the way, but I mean, in ZVZ, every Zergling is so important. A good body block there, as we saw that, you know, Hero was trying to run by. Mutas are about to hatch here for Hero. The Spires, yeah, the Spire, okay, so their Spires are still completely synced up.
Yeah.
We have an Evo chamber, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have a Spore right away here from SoulKey. We could, but the Evo chamber was really more to block off the Lings in that counterattack. And so now where does this game go? This is a very interesting one in that, you know, they both have so much incomplete information. They've got to be scared Mutas could fly around there and kill off all their workers.
Well, this just has to be SoulKey favored. Hugely SoulKey favored, right?
I agree.
Like, the fact that he has that second gas mining already, like, even if you long distance mine, like, you can catch up on gas, but you're going to be behind on minerals, and then maybe it can be like a Zergling Muta attack type thing. So yeah, this just looks like it is so good for SoulKey right now. I would be very surprised if Hero can pull this one off.
Mutas are going to come back around. Scourge poke in and say, okay, he's got to be on the move, and the Zergling spots and confirms. You like that when I say this? The Scourge say, all right. It's got to be out there somewhere with their little Scourge mouths saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the attack's going to come in. And, man, I can't really tell who has more. I mean, Hero has to be out here for a reason, right? His Scourge count's getting pretty low. He might have to bail here.
Yeah. No, I think he's just dead. He was down 2 Mutas or 3 Mutas that entire time. And he was trying to utilize some Scourge and whatnot, but SoulKey's just going to take it. Hero GG's. And hey, you know, we talk about how ZVZ has kept SoulKey back sometimes. Not tonight. He is going to take it 2-1 and advance in first place in this group.
Very cool to see. I gotta say, I'm very happy that SoulKey's moving on. He still doesn't seem to be the powerhouse ZVZer that some of the other guys in this ASL are. I'm not getting the vibes that I got from Calm or these other great players, but I welcome him getting further along here. And look, his ZVZ is going to be tested. If he could overcome that matchup, just like he did overcome Hero now, I think he could be unstoppable in this season.
Absolutely. Like, anytime SoulKey's ZVZ is on, I could choose him as a champion. We'll see who he actually ends up getting in that round of 8. You know, obviously the round of 8 is not even half formed at this point, so it's hard to say, but some solid play here tonight. I think he played a great game there against Bisu, who was playing very well, and here, like, he reacted, right? Like, these were the same builds where he lost game 1 on Polyvoid, and then he just reacted better and got way ahead, and suddenly you can see some of the holes inherent in that hatchery at the ramp build from Hero.
All right, we're going to go to that interview now, get SoulKey's thoughts, and then we'll be going to the losers match after that interview is done.
Alright, we have the first winner from Group C. It is going to be SoulKey, the Zerg player, coming out as the first place of this group. Congratulations. Thank you. Wow. What an amazing performance you've shown today. Such strong defense you've shown today. And you made it to the ASL round of 8, 5th consecutive time now. How do you feel? Well, honestly, I actually struggled a bit in the first match. My condition wasn't so good. I thought I had to win my ZVZ with my builds, no matter what. And I think my builds worked out well today.
김태경 선수와의 경기에서
Talking about the match against Bisu, we definitely got to see why you're called the Iron Wall. But the low light for you today was definitely when you lost the wave of Hydralisks.
그 순간을 말씀하시는 걸까요?
That's right, the Hydralisks were not supposed to get caught, but they did get caught, and then, I started on the back foot, and that's when I realized I was really not in a good form today. But then I had to opt for the macro instead, but the macro actually worked out really well for me. And after that, Bisu opted for a all-in rush, but you were able to defend that really well to gain your win. I mean, that's right, so when I put the lurkers in that position, it worked out well in every single match during practice. So, it was a one-off strategy, so I'm never going to use it again in my future matches. Alright, let's talk about the match against Hero.
저글링을 발업까지 시켰는데 추가 저글링을 뽑았음에도 조일장 선수가 좀
You actually upgraded the movement speed for the Zerglings really fast, but then Hero actually scouted you really quickly, and then he was able to gain a huge lead to take you out in the first game. But in the second game, you were able to scout him really well to gain another lead in the game to eventually win the one. Actually, if I spawn in the 5 o'clock position, I was gonna go for the Hero's build. But then, when I was in the 11 o'clock, I actually saw his Overload and Drone together. And it was actually a huge win for me, because I know the strategy inside out. And that's when I realized I actually had that game. Yeah, it felt like you guys were like paired up via Bluetooth in that game because you guys really clicked. I know it was a very instrumental match. One had to go to the final match. One was able to just go to the winners match right away. I mean, the build that I used in Dark Origin was definitely the safest, the most viable of all strategies, and that's why I went for the strategy, and it worked out well. And SoulKey, it felt like you were able to utilize good strategies to gain your win today. And also a good performance in the ZVZ too. And we can only look forward to your best of 5 series in round of 8. And when it comes to best of 5, I always didn't really live up to didn't really play up to the expectations. This time around, I'll try to practice hard and try to put up a good performance. There's a chance you can play against JYJ or Mini. Which one do you prefer? I mean, JYJ, after he got COVID, he really became weaker, so I do want to play against JYJ. And I also need to take revenge against him, so there's that too. Alright, so SoulKey says he wants JYJ as his next opponent. Let's see if that actually comes true for him. Alright, now do you have any words of thanks to your fans, your colleagues? I mean, there are 2 ex-clan members who came to root for me, so I want to say thanks to them. And also, as for practice, I want to give my thanks to Light, YSC, and Shuttle for helping me with practice. Well, we look forward to your performance in round of 8, SoulKey. Thank you. And that's all for the winners entry with SoulKey, the first player to have advanced out of Group C.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 토킹.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로. 청량한 이 순간 칠성사이다로부터. 칠성사이다.
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to go to the losers match, and it's going to be a TVP. This is one where I think for the sake of the Protosses, we got to hope that Bisu advances because we don't have many more left. Ample, it's kind of incredible he got this far. He does look to be in very good shape. But it's hard for me to imagine Ample taking this. What about you, Artosis?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but this is his best matchup. Like, I definitely think that his Terran versus Protoss is, like, probably 2 levels above his other 2 matchups, honestly. He has a lot of aggressive builds that he's quite good at, but, like, there's a reason why you don't see a lot of top Terrans do aggressive builds against Protoss is because, like, you can pick up a game here and there, but over time, it's hard to keep high win rates with them. So as long as Bisu is kind of aware of the way that Ample likes to play his game, I feel like Bisu's going to be in good shape. Like, if he's going, like, 2-gate, Observer, into his Reaver and third base, it's going to be hard for Ample to pick up victories, I think.
We're going to go to the map Tempest here to see who starts the lead. Again, the loser of this best of 3 is out of the ASL, and the winner goes on to face off against Hero. Okay, we've got Ample with a funny split. He does the... Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He does the double... He sends 2 to a patch and then 2 to another patch and then splits those each from there. That's kind of cool to see. He's in the top right and Bisu's in the bottom left.
Yeah, very optimized patches he chose, though. Like, you know, he's like really focusing on getting the right patches. Bisu, of course, as well. And, you know, cross spawns here on Tempest. Like, this should be a big macro game. Obviously, like, they could have any plans, but we've talked a lot about how those high ground naturals really lend themselves to greedy plays like Nexus first. From Ample's point of view, this is a map where you literally just don't need to get siege mode because a bunker holds the whole ramp against Infinity Dragoons, basically. So, yeah, like, you know, if there's going to be a big macro game, it should probably be on this map.
Yeah, and I would very much welcome that. Bisu goes for the pylon over on the entrance to his expansion. Bisu has done variations of this for a long time. Kind of like in a previous cast we talked about how, like, 2-port Wraith is actually pretty old. Putting a gateway at your natural is also a pretty old idea that's still pretty good and has applications in the modern era. Originally, when Protosses would make a gateway at their natural, they'd have a pylon on the high ground for maps like Lost Temple or these other, just basically maps that would let you play it like that. But I think here it works for different reasons because you can already get a wall-in set up at your entrance, and you're just probably not going to lose your pylon and gateway with a high ground advantage, similar to what you were saying with Terran not needing siege mode right away, because they basically feel safe on the high ground. I think there's a similar set of ideas that apply for Protoss here as well.
For sure, for sure. I like it. Like, this feels like it could be, you know, a Zealot opener into a Nexus pretty easily. And that build, you know, you can bust that build just like it's a Nexus first. But, you know, cross map and having the gateway and the pylon in the way, it's really hard to drill up correctly. And so I like the opener here from B, so I think it's a smart one.
So the factory starts just 1 SCV in gas, so he's not going to be doing anything anything too crazy or out of the ordinary. This is your kind of bread and butter opener. I do like this second Zealot in the Nexus here because, you know, 2 Zealots, and maybe he even goes up to 3, I'm not totally sure, the ins and outs of this opener. It could be a problem for the Terran to actually take that high ground setup. You know, like we were talking about in one of the earlier casts here today, sometimes the best way to kill something off is to stop it before it starts.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know?
A lot of StarCraft is like that.
Yeah, like, don't let them get to that position.
Yeah.
And so here comes that first Zealot.
Oof.
Every bit of damage that the Marines suffer, basically permanent. We're not going to have medics in this game unless it gets really crazy. So the fact that he's already taken got each Marine down to 1 or 2 hits from death, that's huge. Oh my God, and he misses the shot to kill that other one. And you know what?
Yeah.
He's actually using the other Zealot to chase the SCV. He's going to make a cannon. Huh.
Yeah. I like this from Bisu very, very much, Tasteless. I think that his opener has completely outdone Ample's opener. You know, even the cannon, like, honestly, I don't think he even needed it after he got that many shots off on the Marines. It's probably unlikely that Ample will be able to break through, but, like, this guarantees that Ample can't do anything here. Like, he's starting his command center as the Nexus is finishing, and he has no way to put on pressure. It's kind of a bad situation. Like, Bisu's going to be very far ahead as far as the economy goes.
Oh my God.
Even loses that first vulture. Oof. Very painful.
You even see Ample cursing as that vulture's shot down, where he's like, "Oh my God!" Now I don't even know what's happening on the map now. So the core is done, and let's see what kind of tech Bisu wants to have this game. He's got a lot of different options at his disposal. He's already substantially further ahead. We see that SCV still making that command center on the map.
And there is a starport coming up here for Ample, so most likely going to be a vulture drop. There is the possibility Bisu just puts a cannon down. You know, obviously you want to get a bunch of other things before that, but if he gets like a single cannon in that mineral line, that's going to be a real pain for Ample to really find any way to get a little bit of counter damage, because it does feel like he needs that at this point, right? Like, there's no question Bisu's pretty well ahead on workers right now.
Yeah. I think the drop play coming up from Ample is the right idea, but let's not forget, when you do drop moves and you're behind in the game, if it doesn't work, or like use the drop ship, you're probably already dead.
No, it really cuts into your production time on everything. Oh, he actually got a secondary siege tank. So this is actually quite peculiar. You know, like we talked about before, you don't actually need a lot of power up on that high ground. So what this might end up being is he'll push out with the 2 tanks and Marines, and that should draw the units to the front and then drop vultures in the back. Like, that's my best bet here, but because he made 2 siege tanks, he's only going to have like 2 vultures to drop. Unless he drops 2 siege tanks. Like, if he does a 2 siege tank drop right off the bat, are you kidding me, Tasteless? Is he literally, like, is he watching old Boxer VODs? This is crazy.
Is this Lost Temple?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, I forgot completely. There's that high ground.
Yeah, but I mean, you just get a shuttle. I mean, that's...
Yeah, no, he has a shuttle.
Everybody gets a shuttle now.
Well, I was like, what is he doing? Because we used to see, like, literally 22, 23 years ago, people like Boxer drop tanks in the main base and target probes, then unsiege and run away, but everyone's too fast for that to work now. The fact that he's gone for a quick 2 siege tank drop on the high ground, like, there's just no world in which you want to have a shuttle for this, right?
Yeah, well, that was one of the fundamental problems with Lost Temple early on, was that it was like, well, I guess I have to get a shuttle, and the ideas at the time back then was that this is just not going to be as interesting because you can't do the kind of stuff that you want to do. He's going to try to pursue. Well, I'm sorry, when I say that, I mean you can't just like do a whole bunch of different types of builds, right? It kind of forces you into one style of play. Well, I mean, look, that didn't go anywhere. He got almost no value from that. When you make a starport and a dropship like that, you're down 2 factories you could have made earlier. So,
that's a good way to look at it. It is. That's the problem, right? Like, it slows everything else down. You almost every time will go up to 5 factories before your 3rd base after a dropship, because you just have to catch up on that unit production. And what he killed? 2 probes? About 2 probes, and that's it. No, 1 probe. Yeah. Actually, we just clicked on it with the observer, so he actually only ended up getting that 1 gas probe. So a little bit painful. I mean, it's nice to have a dropship because it puts the fear of the dropship into Protoss. Like, you kind of have to put your cannons up right away. You can see he's starting cannons and nexuses at the same time. But like, from here, you just there's no real. I guess there's 2 decisions for Ample, right? He can go into a big macro game, taking a 3rd, or he can just go like 5 or 6 factory all in from here.
Yeah. Academy. Oh, just to get scanned. Okay.
He needs that medic
for
you were
just
talking
a
about.
split second, dude. For just a split second, I was like, maybe he's gonna make bio. No, no. This is look. This is a very tough one here. It's hard to imagine Bisu dying to any kind of powered up two factory or a base play mass factory. He is going to get a second armory, so I think this is going to be one of these two factory builds where he gets a vessel at the last second, and then sends the dropship out with vultures and does a big push. I think we saw C do this like a really long time ago, and I don't know why.
Oh, so you think it is going to be a two-base push?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just feel like there's no way that you can claim a third base without Bisu punishing you. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it seems like to me.
Well, because he added the science facility, like he's going to 2-1, and it's going to take so long to get to 2-1, I think he has to start a third command center. Like, if he tries to do like a 7 fact, Bisu will have everything in the whole world by the time that's ready. You know, he'll have Storm. He could get carriers. Yeah. He could have Arbiters and carriers. And mass Archons, like it would take so long. I can never imagine it working.
I feel like 7 factory is scary until you get to a certain really high skill level, and then it's just like, no, this is not ever going to beat me. We're getting the big gateway explosion. I see the probe production has stopped, at least for now. And we're still waiting to see if that third command center started.
Yeah, I don't see it yet. He did add 2 more factories, but like I was saying before, right, when you open up for a starport, you almost always go 5 factory before your third base. It's just, this is how you get enough units to not die after, you know, skipping that early production facility of the factory. Nice little drop in the main base. I like this. Ooh, he's getting way more probes this time.
That shuttle's headed back now. And, you know, honestly, this isn't bad. I think he can probably get the tanks back out of here. He's going to drop the Reaver. I think the tank might have even been able to dodge that. But, look, I mean, you take what you can get in a game like this, and I don't think we can really blame him for trying. The Vultures are going to come down here now, and so Bisu's trying to get the probes to mine and hug the middle of the mineral patch. Well, I guess he was earlier, but I think now he's probably indifferent and just going through macro cycles back at home.
Yeah, did he start the third command center? I'm looking for it, and I don't really see it. Like, I like that drop he did. His supply is actually really good right now. It's actually higher than I thought it would be. But look, Bisu is getting into everything he wants in the whole world. He has speed shuttles. He has Psystorm. Like, once you're playing against Psystorm, if you try to do one of these 7 factory pushes, they're just too slow. Oh, there it is. He builds on the low ground as part of a wall. Okay, that makes me happy because I'm like, oh god, this is way too late. But it looks like he'll get his third base in like kind of reasonable time, and he has high supply right now, and he's going to take that high ground and secure it. And there is real potential here to get into a big macro game. This one move from Bisu, though, if he attacks in, this could be ultra decisive.
Okay, he's just going to try to take some shots. Big hits there, taking out 3 vultures. And Protoss have to be careful here. Is he going to just drop in the main? I think there's a lot of merit in trying to do that. So usually you keep the shuttle with the zealots in it to lead in the front. And here we go. It's going to be exactly that. He just unloads this. The 1 Reaver's there. It's going to be doing so much damage. And then, you know, the Vultures and other units have to come back, but the Vultures alone are usually never enough because Reavers can actually just kill them. See the targeting in the center of the 3 depots in the Academy? I mean, that's one of the easiest ways to just completely wipe out all of the supply depots. And then here comes the push up in the front.
Yeah. That's why you're doing that drop in the main base. You want them to send all their Vultures back, because without Vultures, you just can't hold a push like this. I think Ample's anti-drop defense there just wasn't quite high enough. And now Bisu has taken a very substantial lead.
I think the Reaver was killed off. Yeah, it looks like it was finally wiped out. But, I mean, that was a lot of losses all around here. Bisu's continuing to macro out. He's continuing to make shuttles. He's getting ready to take his 5th base. SCV's... Oh, no, wait, hold on.
No, I think he probably killed the,
Yeah,
the Reaver.
if that has a Reaver in it, that's kind of crazy. Another attack in here from Bisu, dropping Zealots all over those siege tanks, getting other ones on top. Storm coming in. This is basically like Ample won't leave right here, but this
Templars.
is huh?
He actually targeted 2 Templars separately with each tank.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to make sure the storms wouldn't come down. Because a lot of times you're just trying to storm drop them, or just storm the vultures. Any clump of Terran units at all, you just storm. It can be deceptive too. I remember having a hard time figuring storm out in this matchup because it looks so different than PvZ or even PvP. It can feel like nothing's happening to the Terran, but a lot of times they don't have the ability to repair that easily. And so the little bits of damage they take throughout this, it suddenly just starts to all add up. So you can see this time he's got Templars inside of a shuttle. He's going to keep hammering this position. My God, Bisu's so abusive here. Oh my God, the SCVs go back.
He's looking for that. An unsiege and a move forward here from Ample, maybe trying to blow up any high temperatures that drop out immediately. Of course, Bisu can utilize his Zealot to drop first if he wants to get that side storm. But yeah, it might be time for Bisu to just pull back in macro for a minute. You know, he's getting his 5th Nexus. He's done a very good job, right? Like the drops in the main base did well. The attacks on the 3rd base did well. We're at kind of a low SCV count for Ample. But Ample has a strong standing army still. He has 2-1 upgrades.
Yeah, and that's what Terran can always bank on long term is you're going to eventually have a better army than the Protoss, unless the Protoss can get Psystorm off or switch into carriers or use Arbiters to freeze stuff or any of those techniques. But in a straight-up fight, you'll just beat Zealots and Dragoons always. He's going to come in here with a big drop, and oh, what am I watching?
Yeah, not sure what I just saw there. Misses those storms completely, and a little bit stuck up here. We'll see if he can get something.
He's like trying to do a magic trick with these shuttles. He's like, he moves them in between each other. He's like, which one has the Templars?
Okay, another drop there in the main base, trying to take out some of these SCVs. Ample trying in the meantime to harass a little bit on that 5th base. Doesn't really find anything with that tank drop. Gets cleaned up pretty easily. And Bisu going to transfer his probes over. Look at this, a 60 supply advantage for our Protoss.
Ooh, gets a little bit more. Yeah, you know, I think the 3rd base isn't the easiest position to break open for the Protoss, but I think that if anybody can do it, it's Bisu. Or it actually would be best out of everybody. He always breaks spots that never look breakable, but
the smaller the choke, the better.
Yeah. He's like, I can get 5 control groups of units through here, no problem.
You know, Ample has a good spread there. He has good depots. Like, I don't think you should attack in as Bisu, honestly. I think you just wait and crush whatever comes out.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah,
maybe
more
you try to go for more storm drops.
Yeah, honestly, I would just stop everything like that. Like, save some storms. The thing is, he's making so many bases. He's going to 7 bases right now, and it's a 3-base Ample. So, like, even if Ample comes out and is unbelievably cost-efficient, you are going to have so much more than him. Just from the amount of bases that you have mining, that you're going to be able to whittle this down. Look, he's adding a ton of Stargates, getting carrier tech ready. It's just Bisu knows that he is going to be rolling in money here shortly, and Ample has like maybe 1 chance to move out and get a good attack, and if it's too quick, it'll get stormed to death.
Yeah, that's the scary part. Terran eventually has to do something. Luckily, Terran can kind of camp in their base for a little while longer. And so Protoss has to basically take this moment to gobble up as much of the map as possible, to make as many gateways and as many different spawns as possible. You're basically done with that in your main, but the other 2 locations, the top left and the bottom right, are very, very attractive spots to go for.
Yeah, he's getting his command center ready. You know, like, you could play this real slow and say, you know what, he has 7 bases. If I move, I'm going to die. Maybe I can cut the map in half. But that's why Bisu's getting the carriers ready. Like, that's the ultimate counter to playing too slow as Terran, because the carriers just outscale even Terran back. So there is this big issue. Sometimes you can kind of try to play it tricky where if Protoss is maxed out, you kind of sit there and you wait because you know they have to attack in to lose supply to make carriers, and then you counterattack. So you kind of put it on Protoss's plate. But yeah, you see what Bisu's doing? I was just literally about to explain this. Is that you can, and as soon as you scan and see those being killed off, you know he's freeing supply for carriers. There's nothing else that would mean.
Yeah, and the idea is that the Zealots matter less and less and less as you get more carriers ready to go. So Terran is being really pressed right now. Now 3-3 is almost done. It's actually +3 attack, +1 shields. Gosh, the different types of orderings of the upgrades now are fascinating.
I think that's just
get
because
armor, but here we are.
It applies to carriers.
Oh, because
right?
of carriers. Yeah, no, you're right. You're totally right. Good correction, Tastosis. In my head, I'm like, really? You just go for shields as instead of armor?
Yeah, that doesn't do anything for the Dragoons against siege tanks.
Yeah. Like, is that better against splash damage from tanks? I don't think so.
Yeah. Tanks do 85 damage. I think that one armor isn't going to make any difference.
It's like, I don't feel like this is right, but Bisu's a lot better than me.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you do is you force the siege. Whoa, he's going to attack in? Okay, that was a bad move. He needs to back up.
Honestly, I think he wants to lose little bits of this. So just slowing him down and then being like, yeah, here, kill 10 supply. Like, you want that supply gone. You want the carriers on the way. But you can't lose too much, because if you lose, like, everything, then he'll kill, like, 3-4 Nexuses before the carriers are ready. So, like, there is this balance to losing units, but Bisu... Make no mistake, like you saw him targeting his own army. That's because he knows he does want to get into carriers.
Storm's down here. And I mean, Terran is really going to try to rip through the map. Sometimes going carriers can be a mistake. It can feel like the right move, but if you're not able to deal with Terran in the time it takes to get the 4 to 6 to 8 carriers out, to get interceptors into them, to get the interceptors out of the carriers, and then ready to fight, the Terran army itself, you can be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, throws down some side storms. Look at that, man. Like, he's so efficient right now. Bisu really getting pushed back.
It's cool to see Bisu playing the really modern Storm style with speed shuttles. We've had a recenter games where he's still gone for Arbiter.
Yeah.
He's like the only guy still doing it, but I mean, this is all he really needs to do, is just keep buying time. Another wave is coming down from the north into the south, and this base in the bottom left is going to be pushed. Now, keep in mind, there are gateways, almost completely surrounding the position here of Ample, so anywhere he pushes, he's always at risk of being flanked. It's not like a game where the Terran can push in, siege up outside the natural, and then choke off all movement on the map.
Yeah, this is very tough as well, because both other main bases have been taken, and he's having to push uphill into these naturals as well. So there's a lot of issues here. Yeah. He is making a lot of Goliaths, and there's a good economy here for Ample. So he can produce a lot of Goliaths, as he does have 2 fully mining bases and a lot of gas. But like, you have to bust everything pretty darn efficiently. Okay, he sends these 2 tanks down to the mid. That's awesome. That's exactly what we need to see. But he needs to break off more than that. Like, whether it's a drop in the top left or some more tanks split off to the side to kill, like, that Nexus right there. He has to kill bases quicker than what he's doing.
Okay, so he's going to have these interceptors come out. He needs to attack his own building just to empty them and then get them on the move command. So now the interceptors are all on the outside. He can start to shift target down. Each of these tanks, you can either go for each of the Goliaths and just overpower them there. There's other ways to play where you just try to target down the tanks themselves and then let your Dragoons and Zealots kill the Goliaths off, since Goliaths are basically horrible against Zealots alone. And you can see the tanks are over and over again getting picked one by one.
Like, Ample right now has decided the best way for him to win this game is to kill everything in the main, which is generally not going to work. The problem is the carriers can escape. He is taking another base, and I mean, maybe there's some possibility he kills this main. It doesn't seem too likely with this many gates and all these carriers. But, he's making some progress. He clears out most of the ground army. Does he have enough Goliaths to support and kill everything in here, though?
That's the big question. I don't think he quite has enough. It seems like we're getting to the point, I think +2 or +3 is almost done right now on the carriers, and so really, if they just get enough interceptors out, they can kind of dominate. I would like to see some more gateways in the top left. I think there's some real lost opportunities happening here.
Yeah.
Part of this is probably just because micro-ring carriers is one of the most APM intensive things to do in the game, because you get more value out of the carriers once you're able to use them. We do have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 carriers.
Yeah, that is,
and that's really the number
insane.
where it's almost unstoppable.
Yeah, like it's a floating base right now. Like it is just grinding down so many units from Terran. But it seems like Bisu is going to play out. He might be just low on interceptors at the moment, and that means that Ample's like strategy of pushing in to kill this base looks like it will work. And at least he'll get rid of the Stargates. We should see only gateways being made now from Bisu. I think he sits on this carrier number and just goes back into gateway units.
He's going to go for this command center. The one way that he could really take the wind out of the sails of Ample here would just be to go and kill the 2 command centers that are out here. Just ignore what's there, get the 2 command centers. Sometimes that will slow the Terran down so much they can't recover.
Well, he needs his bases, 100%. Bisu flying over some Goliaths here, but he just has so many carriers. He's only going to lose 1 to that group of Goliaths as he picks them off. And it's like... you know, the supply is pretty even. It's just the carriers are worth so much more.
Exactly. And keep in mind, if you can get like a DT over here, assuming the turrets go down, or you can get rid of the vessel, or even Templars and Dragoons, I mean, it's just going to be too much. Kind of a crazy game. We're almost at the 25-minute marker here. The Goliaths are coming back. By the way, sniping the gas, if he has any time to, that's another great move he can do. Remember that the Terran, at this point in time, is only going to have gas at the 3rd base. So if you can get them off just 1 base that's mining gas, even with Goliaths, they'll start to feel that.
You know, in this particular game, like, we need a lot of minerals. He's very, very low in minerals right now, but does have a bit of a gas bank. I think it's hard for him to even just keep up the Goliath production. You know, if he had like a 2K bank, I'd be like, well, he's going to have so many Goliaths, this game's going to take forever. But I feel like Bisu's making progress. More progress than we see Ample make.
So the carriers have been pushed back. Interestingly, he's actually remaking the carrier. Oh no, these Templars.
Oh, that's a fumble. Dude, that was 3 like high energy, high Templars.
Oh, man.
That's like 9 storms gone. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just you look at the tanks that are over here now, and it's like that's what you could have used to stop that.
Yeah.
So we are in a kind of funny spot. The carriers are still a real threat. Bisu is rapidly remaking all those interceptors. He may be fully filled back in, which means he can probably overpower these Goliaths. I just don't see enough Goliaths here yet. He's basically killing 1 Goliath every few seconds, and we're having more march over here to try to meet up. The tanks are pushing in the bottom right. The upper left main for Bisu is basically fine because the carriers, you know, they're the best offense is a good defense here for that position's sake.
Oh man, he's actually clearing it really, really well. I tell you, if Ample had like 3 o'clock, I would actually think he could absolutely win this game. But what I'm watching here is like these carriers are going to get this base. It's slow going, but they are going to get this base. And the amount of Goliaths that we see come over are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it just doesn't feel like he's got enough to repel these anymore.
Yeah, we keep seeing Goliaths get picked off 1 by 1. A DT is going to come forward here, but there are already science vessels over here. I wish we could check the minerals over at that 3rd base. I'm just so curious where exactly the resource count is, because we're getting closer and closer to that 30-minute marker, so I would have to imagine the 3rd base is going to mine out soon, right? I know we had a lot of SCVs killed off earlier, but nice storm there. That's what you want.
Imagine if he had 9 more storms there, though, man. He would have not even lost that natural. Huge mistake with those high Templars early. Like, if he was to end up losing this game, I think that would be maybe the chief mistake. But these carriers remain alive. He's really whittling down the SCVs here. The Goliaths keep coming out to try to defend, because Ample knows he needs this base. Honestly, he should be, like, floating his main command center. He should be doing everything in his power to get more mining locations. And I feel like he's so single-mindedly pushing, right? Like, he's pushing this bottom right, and he's trying to keep this base alive, and those are the only things he's doing.
Flies are going to come back up here. Man, that base is just not looking good. There's almost nothing left over there. I think we're back up to 10 carriers, by the way.
He did make a new Stargate, so yeah, gonna have that carrier fleet getting reinforced, and hasn't quite killed this base yet. Just a few units ended up killing off those tanks, but sends some more, so he should be able to kill bottom right. But top left and that mid left, like 9-ish, 8-ish base is still enough for Bisu here, as he's up 50% more supply.
He is starting to wipe out these Goliaths in a way where, as the Dragoons and Zealots come in, I just don't see how you recover here. That's it. GG. Ample goes down. Bisu takes that first victory in a pretty impressive fashion. But Ample, I think he did a really good job hanging on. You know, really, Bisu got a build order advantage by, I think, you know, tech-wise outmaneuvering Ample. Ample went for, I guess, more of a generic, you know, barracks expand, where Bisu really played the map as if he had been on that map for years and knew the ins and outs of it. Ample looked like he had no shot, but he basically camped it out, went for the late game, almost pulled it off, but at the end of the day, you know, when you let Protoss get all 3 of the other, you know, spots on the map, that Protoss gets their main, and then the other 2 mains, they have Templar tech, they have gateways everywhere, and they get up to 10 carriers. Yeah, you know what? You're not supposed to recover from that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And honestly, Ample gave himself a reasonable chance. Like, he pushed down the middle so hard. Yeah. If he had split tanks slightly better, maybe he could have taken that. You know, if you kill some of these bases a little bit more quickly, Bisu can't really reinforce as much. Maybe it's harder to make interceptors. But he wasn't able to do that. His multitasking, I think, wasn't up to the challenge. Now we're going to go into Polypoid for set number 2. This is a great map for Terran versus Protoss. Like, it really can go either way. And I'm excited to see what Ample wants to pull off here, because he will have played infinity games on Polypoid, as we all have at this point.
Sure, yeah. It's a very, very... it's been around for a long time. We're very familiar with Polypoid. Bisu looking to be in fantastic shape, but at the same time having to put the work in to take on a player like Ample. And remember, Hero is just around the corner. The winner of this does fight Hero. And Hero, I mean, man, you better have some good stamina, because he can also play some crazy games, whether that's TVZ or PVZ. All right, guys, we're ready to go into this game. Let's go. Okay, Bisu, Ample down here in the bottom right, and Bisu in the bottom left. Polypoid, a map that we're all so familiar with. Bisu has been playing a lot of these gateway pressure styles, even when he doesn't steal the gas. I don't know if he's going to do it this time around. I do think Polypoid really does allow for pretty much every opener for each of the races in PvT. And so, you know, the sky's the limit here.
Yeah, definitely do agree with that. Really, you can just kind of choose whatever you like. It's a very comfortable map. It's got some really interesting pieces to it. I think chiefly amongst those high ground third bases really create a lot of dynamic situations where you can play very turtled up there. You can play a containment game up there. Right, it's a great base to kind of navigate through the rest of the map, especially as a Terran player.
Now, with them both sharing the bottom, it can be a little bit tempting to go for a push here, just because you're in close proximity. But I think that, you know, in this position as well, you know, I think the high ground mineral base is more holdable. Mm-hmm. Because you are, you know, you do have the high ground advantage, and you can also just take the 9 o'clock base as well. It looks like Ample's actually going to go for a command center expand? Or barracks expand?
Yeah, he's trying to do a gasless expand, but the probe is coming so quickly that he should take his gas here most likely. Throw Sanghadipa down, take his gas. If you get offensive gas in this position, you're generally dead. And anytime you see a probe this early in the game, you know a Zealot's on the way. So, you know, he should actually make a bunker as well. Like he should be. These are the three things. Like when a probe comes this early and you're trying to just go for a command center, it's like you say, okay, screw it. You make your geyser, you'll only mine with one. You make your second depot, and then you make a bunker when this finishes.
And Bisu's actually going to go for the pylon gate pylon build with Zealots slow dripping towards the Terran. Now, I'm very curious how Bisu plays out the next couple moves here. He's going to take a gas. There we go. I was about to ask myself, does he want to maybe, what if Terran makes an eBay over where the Nexus is supposed to be? Because we know Bisu also likes to go pylon gate, pylon into Nexus. But I guess it's kind of the same thing that you were talking about, Tastosis, only from a reverse perspective. In this case, the Protoss gets scouted and he goes, all right, I'll just take gas.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to make a Nexus because you could block this.
Yeah, it's a good choice, I think. And especially considering his SCV made the motion to take the gas, like it went to the geyser, which could even be like a fake from Ample, because actually the last thing you want to see is your opponent screwing your build up and making a Nexus, because then there's like no real possibility of like a punish or anything. So this does slow Bisu's build down a little bit. He still will get that Nexus started with good time, and you can see, you know, Ample's recovered his build really, really well from here. So there's been like a lot of back and forth without any true damage being dealt, which kind of shows the level of these two players.
Yeah, I thought for a little bit he might get a second Zealot and try to do the run-by. If you have two Zealots in a probe, you can run by their bunker and just run up in their main and start killing SCVs, and it's a problem. But instead, he's really shifted gears pretty nicely.
No, he's gone into that command set, or that Nexus at a good time, and now he's trying to block the ramp. Doesn't look like he'll get the full block off, but yeah, maybe. Ooh, we have like vision bugs, so it's actually he was right on the line. I'm not sure if he saw the robo or not there. And even if he saw it, he might not have been able to click on it, and it's the same shape as a Citadel, but you'd never put a Citadel there. You'd put the Citadel somewhere further back. So, like, I mean, you're looking at this and you're thinking it's Robo. And so that actually might line up for Ample to do a 4-factory play here.
Yeah. For what Tastosis is pointing out, there have been some games where we see players expand into Citadel, into 2-gate, into DTs. And I've never been able to make it work, but I guess with some players, they'll just cut so many. When I do it, I'm like, why would I ever just, why would I ever skip Robo? This feels so unsafe, but it does beat a lot of very good players. There are people that are just Terrans that are not respecting the threat of DTs, and the DTs will go right by the army, go up in the main, kill SCVs, and then the next 2 DTs come and kill the Terran army right as it gets to your base.
Yeah. It's but the reason it hasn't been working for you is because it is bad, but that's why it can work too. You know, it's like so unexpected. It looks like it is going to be a Reaver follow-up here for Bisu. And it's like a 2-factory, but that's very common. That's very normal. This is not necessarily aggressive from Ample. I'm interested to see, though, because he only got 1 add-on, right? So, like, he has some sort of plan here to get these Vultures out this early. It's normally when you do a build like this, you go 2 add-ons. It's going to allow you to get multiple upgrades if you want your Vultures, or multiple tanks if you want to go tanks. But he's like, this is good, right? Armory and eBay, that's exactly what he needs in this situation.
So, the SCV's just going to get out. I guess he was afraid of leaving the Dragoon out there for too long. There is always this little mini game if you leave your Dragoon out there where they'll just like come out and just try to snipe it and overwhelm it and kill it. So Bisu, with the star sense there, just knows it's time to pull this away. That push is coming. Go ahead.
This is cool. Sorry, I just got to mention, like, to get speed first here, I was kind of wondering because it was like 1 add-on, but speed first is insane. Look at this. Huge damage going to come out. Huge damage. You would never expect this. It's never the first upgrade. But here he is with Vultures in the main base. He sees exactly what the tech is, and he is dealing some serious damage to these probes.
Yeah, the probes are going to try to come back here and drill. He's going to get, again, I think a decent recovery as best as Bisu could do, but you're really not supposed to be losing workers like that. The shuttle is only going to take shield damage, and it can pull back away. the turret layout is such that I just don't think that anything's going to get done with that shuttle and reaver, which is okay. It's going to play a role later on in the game, but we need to see Bisu get another Nexus up here.
Yeah, Bisu's in trouble, man. He's in serious trouble this game. If I'm Ample, I'm like, yeah, I got him. that was like a lot of probe kills for this early in the game, and he lost almost nothing doing it. Only 3 vultures. Look at this. He gets it again. Are you kidding me?
What?
Dude, gigantic damage. How do you come back in a game like this?
I mean, I don't know that you really can. The funny thing is like in some matchups you can lose workers early, and this is going to get even worse because he's not going to be able to get. Oh,
dude, his defense is so good here with the multiple
if this
turrets.
happened to be in my stream, I would just end the stream right now and be like, goodbye, guys. I'm going to not play StarCraft. I'll see you in a week if I feel like playing this game again.
Yeah.
This is brutal.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got... Dude, this is like one of the cooler games. Like, I've never seen this opener build or this variation of the opener build here from Ample. And, like, that spread, he knew the Reaver was coming. He was perfectly set up for it. Look at this. Flies over that missile turret. Bisu kind of going a little bit ham right now. Really desperate to find some damage.
Right. He is focusing down the tanks. And this Scarab is going to dud. It looks like it's stuck in the wedge. Going to fire once again at the Marines. I mean, he's just not getting done what he needs to get done here. Oh my God.
Look at that shuttle, Tastosis. It's so low. 3 health. He was literally 1 Marine shot from losing a Reaver with a shuttle, and there was 1 Marine there. Yeah, obviously, this is going to get taken out.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's just 1 Marine. Here we go.
Marine range is pretty bad, so he's like really trying to abuse that and gain shuttles back so he can make more moves. Hey, well done by Bisu. Flies back in. Yeah, I don't know, man. It doesn't seem very good.
Yeah, so he dropped. Oh! I was going to say he wants to try to just get 1 more shot out. That's not going to work. I think it's just a matter of time before Terran pushes and probably just kills the Protoss. I mean, yeah, they beat me to it. I was about to mention, like, sometimes in games like this, I'll just throw down a Stargate. When it's going really bad, I'm like, well, let's just...
Oh, yeah.
Let's try taking the game in this direction. But,
okay,
you know, when you lose the shuttles and you lose the Reavers, I mean, the issue is you just don't have the tools that you normally have to fight the very basic Terran push. Another deny there, no 4th Nexus. Bisu's worst nightmare is 3 speed vultures from Ample.
Really? It's been crazy, man. I'm super a fan of what I'm seeing here from Ample. These carriers are very, very fast. You know, oh my God, he gets more probes. This is like such a high probe death game. You know, I think Ample here, like, if he just scans, well, he actually never got an academy. So he actually has no idea that it's carrier at all. Like, maybe that's an okay idea from Bisu. Like, he's had vision of what's in this base for, like, the whole game, basically. So he knows, for instance, there's no scans coming. And that's one of the best times to go carrier, right? Is when you're like, well,
yeah.
he's gonna find out late. So if you find out by 4 carriers flying at your army, that's almost always a loss.
This is painful to watch, honestly. I mean, maybe Bisu can still make this a game. Maybe Ample will choke, but I mean, you know, it's so straightforward. You just lose this many workers over and over again. And what can you possibly do to recover from an inevitable upgraded Terran push?
No, it's hard. You've got to take risks. It's like, do you want to go Gateway Man? Do you want to go Mass Nexus? Do you want to go Carrier? Do you want to go Psy Storm? Everything has things that it's going to be strong against. Everything has things it's going to be weak against. You know, any pretty fast attack here is going to kill Bisu. Whereas if Ample plays like a much more prolonged game, if he's just macroing up, he's like, yeah, we'll go to 4 bases. Well, maybe there he can start grinding and, you know, get some Psy Storms out and stuff like that and fight back. But like, Ample's just in such a good spot after all of the probe harassment. The one thing really going for Bisu we've already kind of discussed is how late the scanners are. Like, Ample just, he doesn't know what Bisu's doing, but he's kind of doing a catch-all.
Yeah, very true. Well, you know, it might look a little bit odd to you guys watching, like, doesn't it just seem like Ample's sitting there? Well, if you're going to kill probes with those vultures over and over like that, you can just sit there. A scan comes down and he sees the carriers. Now, this could prompt a push here from Ample. Because now he's going to look at this and go, oh, well, you know, and by the way, 2 carriers pretty much can't do anything in a game that's gone on for this long. Like, 4 still always gives you a shot. 4 carriers is kind of the magic number. 6 is actually, frankly, scary. 8 to 10 is almost unstoppable.
Yeah.
But 2, eh.
You know, exactly. Like, a very small amount of Goliaths. You know, you have 6 Goliaths, you're fine against 2 carriers. Like, you'll just, they won't be able to do that much against you. Of course, if you don't have any anti-air, you're going to be in trouble. This drop, actually, really, really good. More probes going to go down. You can see where Bisu's really skipping here. Like, he just hasn't had any real, like, we haven't really seen cannons anywhere. And I guess at some point, you're just like, well, you know, I've taken a lot of damage. You have to cut something. You can't take a bunch of damage and be like, well, that's okay. I'll just do everything normally. I'll make my cannons on time and this and that and the other thing. And it's like, well, now really everything's so slow that you don't have a chance. But Bisu somehow has 4 carriers.
By the way, this is, I think, so smart from Ample. He's going to be expanding into 6 o'clock. He's making a command center at 3 o'clock, and he's taking the upper right. He's just going to way out expand and outgrow. Honestly, this isn't the style I'm used to seeing from pros. Normally they scan, they see 2 carriers, and they just pull the trigger and go. But this kind of protracted, really patient, I'm going to just gobble up the map play, I think is pretty smart.
Yep.
You know, when you face off against carriers, they can be scary and it can seem like you can't beat them. But you know one way to really beat a carrier player is to make a couple command centers in weird spots on the map.
100%.
Because the carriers can't really catch up,
No, I completely agree. This is actually what I do nowadays against carriers is I just make a bunch of command centers because, like, the carriers are slow. So, like, if you just apply pressure non-stop while making these and just macro cleanly, it's actually really hard for Protoss to clear everything. And obviously in a game like this where Bisu's already taken massive, massive damage, it's even harder. He's microing as best he can here with these Reavers, with these Dragoons, trying to slow this down, trying to pick off Goliaths. But those carriers, they're going to have to do some extremely heavy lifting if he wants to win this game.
That's right. How many does he have now? He's got 7.
That's legit. You know, that's a good count.
It is, but now the push is going to come where I think the Nexus is going to be flattened. Whether Protoss can win this fight or not. I think there's so much damage coming out here. And I think he can fraction off a couple tanks and send them up to 9 o'clock.
You know, I think there's just enough carriers here to fight the amount of Goliaths we have here, but another group of Goliaths coming up should help. But where are those Goliaths? We don't see any units moving towards this location, so Bisu is picking everything off. And if he gets all these Goliaths, he'll just start on the tanks.
Yeah, and that would be very bad. Oh, little drop up here. I like that.
Every Goliath gone. Finally another group coming up, but it's like, again, a small group, so he could theoretically get rid of that as well. But obviously Bisu's taken some massive damage in this time. The drop killing a bunch of probes at that 3rd base location, and his natural's gone. Look at this. The Siege Tank's going to come up and try to bust through and kill off this Nexus. The carriers, though, like,
carriers are going to come up.
What if he kills all these tanks? No, he doesn't have a good enough economy, right?
No, I think there's no way Tastosis. I mean, he would have to fight his way all the way back through a 5-base, actually, I'm sorry, 6-base Goliath player, and it's soon to be 7 bases.
Yeah, it doesn't seem realistic.
No, I don't think so. Also, remember that, like, Bisu's barely mining. Look at his minerals slowly go up. If you get enough Goliaths that you can just, like, hold position and kill the interceptors, you win the game.
Yeah, maybe if he had 12 fully upgraded carriers, he could just mine enough to refill interceptors, and that could do it. But as is, just the amount of Goliaths that can come out, like, he never has to stop making Goliaths from every single factory. He's got so many bases. He's got so many geysers going. Bisu gonna, hey, he pops a command center. Like, I mean, that's the start of every journey starts with one step, right? Every comeback starts with sniping one command center.
Okay, the Goliaths. You know, they didn't manage to save that command center, but I mean, this is the slow, painful death of Bisu. I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, you know, for Bisu, he barely has observers on the map. We saw those two that were those Dragoons there, but I mean, there's just so many things that have to be sorted here. And I just don't know if we're ever going to see Bisu get there. It is kind of remarkable to see what Protoss can do with carriers, how long they can hang on.
Yeah. And, you know, he's trying to send them up here. Unfortunately, he lost a lot of those Dragoons. Those were expensive for him to get. He does have 10 carriers, which is, like, such a good number. But he's already lost his shields on a lot of these. Like, honestly, if I'm Ample, I'm going back and forth and baiting carriers forward to try to just get pickoffs. Because anything you kill, Bisu can't replace right now. His economy's just not good
He's
enough.
He's switching to just go for the interceptors. This should be the final few moments of this game. Because, you know, even though a lot of interceptors are still alive, there are ones dying. And I think there's just not enough, you know, not enough money in the piggy bank to refill these interceptors at a rate that's going to be significant. The Dragoons come forward, and, you know, Dragoons comboed with carriers is crazy strong, but I'll stick with what I was talking about earlier. Like, there's just so much that Bisu would have to do before this could ever really realistically be a game you come back in.
Yeah. I mean, if he sniped all the command centers in the top right, then we can start to talk about it. But, you know, Ample's still making more command centers here as well. Like, he is just not stopping with that. Ample's bank, to be fair, has gone down quite a bit. But I love this split off, like the tank vulture attacking into this tiny Dragoon count. The carriers kind of have to turn around and deal with that. There's just not... 3 Dragoons can't do anything against this incoming Terran army. And that's going to save those top right bases. I think that was basically the final move we needed from Ample for him to secure this win.
3 more tanks come up. They can take out this cannon and then siege up and take out the Nexus. The natural Nexus is going to fall again. You know, the issue always with carriers is that they can only be at one place at a time, and the commute to get them anywhere is crazy long. They are some of the slowest units in the entire game, and for a good reason.
Well, if these things were fast, no one would play StarCraft. It would just be PvPs
Can you
on
imagine?
PGH all day.
They're like the speed of Corsairs.
Yeah. It would be so stupid. It's like one of those bad RTS games where there's hero units that just walk over everything else.
That's right.
But yeah, this is Bisu kind of giving up at this point. He's not microing as much. There's endless Goliaths coming forward. Probes being transferred through the war zone. GG is called. Hey, we're tied up 1-1 after 2 long games.
Right. We take those. Look, let's not forget what happened early on. Bisu was getting dominated by, you know, 3 vultures at a time, one-shotting probes. He bungled 2 Reaver drops. Yeah, that's when it ended. And carriers or not, he was not going to win that game, not against Ample. So we need to see a cleaner game here from Bisu.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was such a cool build, though, right? Like, there's so many variants of gasless expansions, like that type of very fast command center into factory that we saw from Ample. And the fact, like, I actually did some quick math in my brain here as we were passing and watching, where it's like, well, the speed upgrade takes the same amount of time basically as making 3 vultures. So, like, he gets his 2 factory, gets the add-on, goes speed, makes 3 vultures, and looking good.
Yeah, impressive stuff. I guess one of our players has called for a break. They are allowed to each take, I think it's about a 2 to 3 minute break if they want to. Go to the bathroom, maybe just meditate, whatever you need. Look, Ample played a very good early game. I do think if we can see Bisu just button up those entrances and have cleaner drops, he should still be able to take this, right?
Yeah. It definitely seems like Bisu is a bit stronger, but, you know, you get caught off guard by something like that, you lose a bunch of probes, it's incredibly hard to come back. And then, like, let's not forget that crazy Reaver defense. He had pre-siege tanks, 2 rows of turrets. And Bisu was just not able to find any damage. And of course, Bisu tried to come back with that carrier build, which is reasonable, right? Like it's an okay thing to try, but you know, carriers oftentimes force the game to go to math. And it's like, well,
sure.
There's so many bases for Terran, there's so many Goliaths. Really hard to make the carriers work at that point.
One little subtle thing I liked from Ample in that game is he makes the turret ring. And whenever a Protoss sees a turret ring, if they have a speed shuttle, they might say to themselves, well, I can run through it, and at least I'll be inside the base. I can try to get some damage out from there. But there was a second turret ready for the initial shuttle to come in. And so that's when we saw the first Reaver not even come out. And so kind of the mind games going on there of like, maybe I'll spend a little bit more, but I'll make it look like I'm not ready. And I don't want you to interact with me, when in fact, really the idea is that that's baiting Bisu to come in, and then he falls for the trap.
Well, you know, really nice game from Ample, though. Like, I'm super excited right now. We're going to go into Invader for our final set. This is a 2-player map, so Bisu has a lot of options on how to open it. Does he want to steal gas? Does he want a proxy gate? Does he want to play a more laid-back game? We're going to see as we go into game number 3.
Okay, Ample in the bottom right, Bisu in the top left, Invader, a new map, fresh out the oven. You could cheese on this map. Bisu will cheese on this map. His probe is already heading out.
Yeah, at least an offensive gas, probably a forward gateway as well, I bet you, in front of the natural. But, I mean, it could even be a proxy gate. Oh, yeah, I guess he sent it out so early, it looks like that might be
it
the
has
case.
to be yeah, it has to be a proxy gate. So Bisu can really do every type of proxy gate there is. You know, proxy gate, we've been on the theme of old strategies. It's another old strategy. It's always been around. It's always been good. The ideas and the fundamentals have always been there. I assume this is going to be a gate on 9. And remember that your gas, it's always at the top of your command center or nexus or hatchery. And so in spawns like this, it's so easy to snag their gas, that deny the refinery. And so the SCV is going to come out here and spot this.
Ooh, do you change your plan? You change your plan, like you could send 4 or 5 SCVs here and kill that?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to have. So, okay, so let's talk about this for a second.
Oh, man.
This is also a rule in PvP as well, by the way. When you see the workers sent, this number of workers will kill this right before a zealot gets out.
There's actually a counterplay if your gateway is far enough back, and this is like right on the edge, where you can send like 4 probes across and guarantee the zealot getting out. It's actually, I've had it happen a few times. It looks like Bisu's not going to take that crazy risk. But yeah, he's going to let this finish. Obviously, there's a lot of lost mining time that's occurring here, which is making it like a little bit not as bad for Bisu as it might look, right?
Does he steal the gas?
Yeah, I think so. I think you do steal the gas here.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, he is messing with Ample's build so hard right now. But I think you would just go command center in a situation like this, because you know that they've actually spent a lot of minerals, and their gateway is going to be pretty late. So I feel like you're not too threatened at this point after you get rid of that.
And so now, I mean, I don't know. I guess Protoss should just make a Nexus, right? I don't think you take gas here and try to match them. I think you just make your own Nexus and maybe put some Zealots out on the map to put pressure on, and just kind of go back to some of the builds you've already seen him do. By the way, hiding the probe in the main is kind of a giga-brain play, because it's actually kind of bad to ever hide it in the main. It could be, and the reason why is that in theory anybody could just go look for it and kill it, but in these pro matches sometimes they don't. Sometimes like the adrenaline's so high
Yeah.
That you can just hide this probe, and then you get a free scout as to what they're doing.
Yeah, which that can be absolutely gigantic because you never know. Like there could be a second barracks in this base somewhere. Oh, he's going for the second gas steal. That's what it is actually. The Marines maneuver up. This is actually, now that I think about it, yeah, people do that specifically against me quite often. Where, you know, if you're killing the gas, they might have the probe at some funny angle and try to run it at the last second. But Ample was keen on it. He knew what was going on, and he does block that from occurring. And you know what? With a bunker out front with 3 Marines in it, you know, you're not really going to see too much else happen here. I think the game is just going to kind of normalize now. Both sides getting their expansions.
Yeah, and I think this game's going to quiet down a little bit. I think having the Zealot out is a good idea. Just buy time to keep the pylon alive if you can. And I will say, a very interesting early game here. I guess
sure.
it really makes you appreciate the fact that this area above the Zealot, I don't know what this is supposed to be, like little solar panels or, I don't know, these vents or whatever it is. You can't build a pylon there. And you can kind of see what that does, is that then Terran can come down and check for that proxied gate. Although I guess you could make a proxied gate to the left of the natural as well and just move up onto the high ground.
Does that reach? I actually am not entirely sure. Like, you're saying a pylon like at that third base?
No. I meant to the left. See this big ramp? Looks like it's made of wood on the natural.
Okay.
You can make it down there.
No, you're totally right. That's totally buildable down there. Yeah, I haven't actually seen that yet. Invader is such a new map, guys. Like, it entered this season. It is on the ladder now. Do you like the map, by the way, Tastosis? I'm actually really enjoying it.
I like it, but I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
Like, I like it as a caster and as a fan of the game, but I'm not good at playing on it yet. I think it requires a little bit of a...
It's tricky.
I mean, the fact that there's 2 exits and there's basically 2 ways to expand, I think over time I will enjoy it, but I am definitely experiencing the growing pains, let's say that.
Of course. It is such a wildly different map with the different paths. And really, you can expand in either direction. Like, we could see Bisu expand, like, linearly across the top. Or, you know, we could see him do half and half. We could see him expand to the south and just try to control that area. I do feel like it's good for Protoss to take their third in that forward base and kind of hold that high groundish area, right? That seems to be a good move. And then Terran might, you know, fall back into taking, you know, that kind of pocketed base as the fourth, something like that. But yeah, a lot of different options on how to play here. Bisu going to be going into Reaver, which I think is obviously always a good move.
Yeah, this is the normal play here. I think we're always going to have Reavers because we're now always having Storm with speed shuttles. So, like, why would you not get Reavers doing this? I do feel like as we have more PVTs like this, we will start to always have Wraiths. My experience against Terrans is that, like, the really smart ones are preempting my Shuttle Reaver with Wraiths.
Yeah.
And ruining the game for me.
Ruining the game for you.
They're ruining the game.
I love it.
They know what they're Terran. They're supposed to sit in their base and let me fly around with my Reaver and drop Zealots to bait out their tank and vulture shots and then blow up SCVs or their tanks with my Reavers. But then I get there and, like, there's 2 Wraiths and I'm like, what? And it just kills my stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, if you have 2 Wraiths, Protoss doesn't know about, and they fly with the Reaver, you're like, you're gold.
It's
absolutely.
Like so bad.
No, I absolutely
we don't see
love it
that much, but I think this is going to become, and then it'll come down to Protoss is not doing that. And I don't know. I mean, we'll see where the meta goes from there. It's always very hard to call, but I definitely could see this being more and more of a thing. So he just loaded up the 2 Zealots. We should have a Reaver just around the corner. Protoss takes the third base. You can always take a quick third base with Reaver play because, you know, if it turns out you can't drop them because they're attacking you, you just have a shuttle and a Reaver to fight.
I like this from Ample, by the way. He's laid a lot of mines around. A lot of times those mines will actually show you the shuttle incoming, so you're really, really prepared at that point. He's gone up to 4 factories and actually has a pretty good spread of turrets already. And notice he is floating and building up near that third base area. That's actually like, you get no vision right above your natural, so that's like a great alley to try to shove a shuttle down. But it looks like he's already prepared for that.
Okay, we've got the Reaver coming out now. Speed. Oh, great connect. Really good shot. And is he going to try to YOLO it with these vultures? He is, but I mean, this isn't going to do anything.
No, a little bit wasteful there, unfortunately. He loses 6 vultures for, like, what was it, a Dragoon and a Probe. The Reaver kind of saving the day. But Ample has added quite a few factories, so there's potential here for an attack. You know, you can always go 5 factories with upgrades. Going into a third base as well. It's like very, very safe to play that way against Reaver openers. And a Stargate coming up. Is that Stargate for carriers, do you think, again?
I think so. I think he's going to try to do what happened in the last game, only do it right this time.
Well, I think he's in a better spot for it this time, at least.
Well, I mean, he hasn't lost tons of probes. Yeah. I mean, I think he's definitely in a much more doable position. But I just see one. The thing is, I don't see a Citadel. Did he make it somewhere else?
No, I don't think so. I think you're right. I think it is carrier.
I don't think he'd just go for Arbiter. You can just start with 1 Stargate and then just go Fleet Beacon Stargate. I think they take the same amount of time to warp in.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas it wouldn't make sense to make this for an Arbiter build without that Citadel already done. Well, the Reaver's being a little bit annoying. Gets that nice Scarab off. Does pick it up. And yeah, +1 air attack does get started. And Bisu is going to go towards those carriers, but Ample's starting to push out. You know, you don't want to overspend getting Fleet Beacon and stuff if Terran's attacking you right at that second.
Okay, so we've got that second Stargate coming down here.
Still
pushes him back.
Yeah, good moves here from Ample. Like, he's just kind of leapfrogging forward. Bisu's playing on the edges of that, trying to kind of keep him honest, not moving out too quickly. And it definitely, like, if you look at this, the siege tank count is really, really awesome. And with the Goliaths as well, you can't really dive on here with a Reaver. So Bisu's forced to just slowly but surely give up ground.
As long as the tanks are having to siege up over and over again, you're okay. The worst thing you can do as a Protoss in this moment is to just run back and let them siege up outside your base. So we've got the Zealots coming out. They don't have charge yet, but the idea is that you can keep the Terran at bay and slowly tech into the carriers. And this is not a cheesy carrier play. This is like a really safe macro carrier play. I think we've seen, especially since Mini and then all these weird games with Stork plays, carriers as a kind of weird, like, gotcha, like sucker punch move. But it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, there's definitely macro carrier stuff. One thing I want to mention, though, is that it feels like Ample's doing the best possible build he could do. In fact, he just scanned and saw what's going on. He's basically on Goliath tank against Dragoon Reaver, and it counters that. But he's also gone up to 7 factories off 2 command centers, which that's the maximum. For 2 base, 7 factories it. So he's like literally making as many units as he possibly can to push against Bisu, and he's doing it very carefully. He's not wasting anything. If he was bleeding units off like vultures in the front trying to get up there too fast, I would think Bisu's fine, but I'm actually a bit worried for him, honestly.
Keep in mind, there's no Psystorm here. Oh, he drops the shuttle, or loses the shuttle is what I'm trying to say. He is picked off. He has to run with the Dragoons. Okay, this is scary right now for Bisu.
Yeah?
I don't know what prompted him to attack there.
No, I don't know.
I think he maybe try to take some hits, but then run back.
Maybe.
And now I feel like he's opened up the gates of hell here, and the Terran is just going to move across the map and win the game.
Yeah, you can just attack move from here. That was kind of a poor engagement for Bisu, honestly. Like, maybe just because he was transferring to high ground, so you're like, well, this is missed shot, let's go. But honestly, it didn't feel quite right. I think he needed to buy a little bit more time there. You know, Ample was going so slow, but now he's going so fast. And that means his third base is dead. The army of Bisu is based on... Oh, that's too bad, man. I think Bisu's going to get eliminated with this push.
So, One little thing I was gonna say before Bisu threw the game here, and he's dead now, is that when they get this far along, you can run around to the other side and try to attack into their natural. Sometimes that's really the play when you have, not a lot to work with, is that you just try to play a game of cat and mouse, because they have to come back and even if the Terran just ignores your counterattack, then you contain them and you use your 2 to 4 carriers to try to win this fight over time by sniping their Goliaths and tanks and turrets and eventually win the game. But it's kind of odd to see Bisu lose like this. By the way, no Storm here. Not that you have to, but this is a kind of older model build.
Yeah, and still
Double
no
speed shuttle.
No Zealot legs still as well. Like we've seen so many slow Zealots die already, and we're going to die here now. And like this is, I mean, Ample's just walking forward and finishing him. There's really no play left here for Bisu.
And that means that one of our 3 Protoss players is going to die out.
Yeah. I mean, we do have Mini already through to that round of 8, but it's unfortunate. You know, I did want to see Bisu go forward. Obviously, Ample doesn't just go forward. In fact, I'd be very surprised if he's able to beat Hero this next match. But as of right now,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I think we're going to get 2 Zergs through in this group. It's funny as well because Ample, he is the only Pro Terran that I would say his best matchup is against Protoss. You know, normally we have Terran killers and Zerg killers, and it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Like he got the right matchup for himself. And I don't know that he's going to go any further. I think Bisu would have had a better chance in the next one, but we'll see. Because he is surprising this season. This is the best ASL performance from Ample ever.
Yeah, taking down Bisu is an incredible moment. Even if he doesn't end up qualifying by beating Hero, I mean, it's a real feather in your cap, right? You're taking out, the most legendary Protoss in StarCraft in a real ASL match. I think this is where the noose is going to, be tightened enough here that Bisu probably has to tap out. He's not going to be able to have any expansions mining. And I can promise you that the Terran on 3 base can always make enough Goliaths to... You don't even have to kill the carriers. You just kill the interceptors.
He's not even
pretty easy.
Tastosis. He's got like a quarter of a patch left. GG is called a disappointing day for Protoss fans. Ample going to eliminate Bisu there in the loser match and go on to that final match. It is sad, and Bisu actually looks sad, straight up. Not angry, but sad.
Well, he's gone through so many ASLs, and this was another one where Flash wasn't here, and a lot of his peers that were kind of the same legendary caliber were eliminated in upsets. So, I mean, this really does feel like a lost opportunity. And he lost to a player I think he probably feels like, and most people feel like, he's supposed to beat. Yeah. But the landscape of StarCraft is changing. I mean, the history will never go away, but Ample, he did play better than Bisu did. That's undeniable. Bisu made some very poor choices in game 2 and 3, and here we are. And so the final match of the day is going to be Hero versus Ample. I don't know why he attacked here. I really don't. Artosis, I'm sure from your perspective as a Terran, don't you think that normally the Protoss is supposed to run around and try to come from behind?
Oh, dude, anything but what he did. Like, he doesn't have Zealot legs. I think he just looked at it and said, well, you're coming up onto high ground, so some of your units will miss some of the time here. But honestly, it didn't make sense. He didn't have the right comp yet either. It was a very tank Goliath heavy composition. So when you see that, it's like, well, we have to just kind of stall out because Dragoons aren't going to do anything. That certainly is where he lost it, without a doubt,
and
right?
You don't, without 4 carriers is the number you're trying to get to. And, even if the Terran gets so close that you can't stop them, and maybe he was afraid he's going to lose his 3rd base, but you got to do counter plays. And maybe if you do that build, you don't take your 3rd base there, Short break, guys. Coming up next, the final best of 3 of the evening, Hero versus Ample.
우주급 텐션, 최고의 토킹, 핫식스 토킹.
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로.
청량한 이 순간 칠성사이다로부터. 칠성사이다.
We're finally here. Just 2 players left in Group C. Bisu's gone. SoulKey's already survived. It's now going to come down to Ample versus Hero.
Yeah. This is an uphill battle for Ample. I mean, obviously he's playing very well, but Hero is a monster in Zerg vs. Terran. He's just so intelligent in the matchup, plays great macro games, and I think it's going to be a tough one for Ample. I really do. Like, we already saw them play, and Hero outclassed him, so now he gets 3 chances, and we'll see if it's any different.
I mean, Hero just does seem to be on a much better level. He's so solid in this matchup. Ample's got to be feeling exhausted, by the way, after playing that PvT. Let's see what he can do. But we're going to start this out on the map Neo Dark Origin. This is a very punishing map. Center control is so important. I'm excited to get into this, man. I just wish it would start right now.
I know. I'm ready for it. A lot of things can be done. Might be a cheesy build here to open up on Dark Origin, being a 2-player map. Definitely like Vulture openers, Wraith openers popular here. Let's get into it.
Okay, we've got Hero in the bottom right, in the red. And his opponent up here in the top left, in the blue, is Ample. Before we get into this matchup, as we do at least once or twice in every ASL day, we want to promote the Patreon, patreon.com/ASL English. If you sign up, please do so for a year. You'll get access to the Secret Tastosis podcast. That's us chatting. While the interviews are going on, we're talking about life. Sometimes we're talking about games.
Sometimes we talk about acid rain
stories.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, we talked about acid rain in the last podcast. And, you know, obviously you're supporting us and the people that help make ASL possible. We're keeping the history of StarCraft alive. But, Tastosis, I actually saw one of the Patreon supporters this weekend.
Oh, no way.
I went to get my hair cut. As you guys might have noticed, my barber's finally back in town, so I got my beard trimmed and my hair cut. And I met up with some friends, and there was a Patreon supporter at a bar I went to.
Nice.
And so I talked to the guy, very friendly guy. He's really been enjoying the show. He was actually one of the people in the audiences in a few weeks past with a sign.
Excellent.
And so I bought him 2 shots of whiskey. We had 2 shots of whiskey back to back together.
Nice.
So that's the Patreon money going right back to
right
you.
Back to the fans. Right
if
back
you
to the
see
fans.
me at a bar
I
at
love it.
Seoul, you're just buying shots. You're buying a drink with Tasteless later. So
Damn.
think of it like that.
Yeah. And if
By
I
the way,
see
this-
any
this-
of you Patreon supporters at the local Walmart, I'm gonna buy you a bottle of water.
Yeah, you get a 6-pack of water for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, check it out if you can. We appreciate it. And again, we just wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. And if you guys ever want to, if you guys are not in Seoul or Prince Edward Island or Tastosis, you can always hang out with us on our streams instead.
Yes.
But enough about the plug-in and stuff. We'll get back into this game. We did see a drone almost looking like he was on a skateboard with that moving shot take out the SCV. This is a Rax pressure build.
Yeah, it's the forward 8 racks, right? But the fact that he got an SCV and caused that lost mining time, this already looks awesome for Hero. I think you just have to play it defensively as Ample. There's just no way to put any real pressure on. So Hero has dismantled this build immediately with that drone scout. That's actually one of the most straightforward ways I've ever seen an ARAX dealt with, which is, you know, this is the problem build right now. Not surprised to see it from Amp on this map. It's a good build for the map, but definitely Hero with a very strong counter.
I just realized SCVs have hooved feet.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You know what I just
got a little
saw the other day, Tasteless? Have you seen the Overlord's actual head? So the Overlord,
No,
I always
I guess
look
I
at it
haven't.
as like its main bulk is its head. It's not. It's got like a little beetle head way down. If you zoom in.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did know
And
that.
you never told me about that? It's messed up.
Yeah, I wish this Overlord would turn around. The one that we're looking at that's over Ample's base. All we see is the truck nuts hanging off the back.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I for some reason I think I did know that the Overlord has a tiny head. You thought the whole like balloon shape was its head.
Yeah,
You
I
thought
figured it's just like a
Tastosis,
giant
that's so
flying head.
not cool. It's just a giant flying head.
Yeah, well, you
Tastosis,
say it's not
no.
cool, Tasteless, but I've loved this game for 25 years, so I guess I thought it was pretty cool.
It sounds like something that you would fight in like a bad Sega Genesis game. It's
Yeah.
just like a flying head. You thought
It's literally my
Yeah,
childhood.
see,
Yeah, exactly. Bad Sega Genesis games and StarCraft.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Whenever you play these like really like I love Japanese games. Whenever you play the really bad retro Japanese games, you're like, there's a lot of flying heads in these games.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh man. Well, you know, I just found that out recently, and that was a painful moment for me because I've always seen it as like those claws coming out of the sides of the head. I thought that was its mouth, and I thought like its eyes were like the
my
weird
God.
shaded areas. So like, yeah, when it makes, I thought it was doing that with those little claw pinchers things. But yeah, it's an unfortunate day that happened to me the other day when I saw that.
Well, I remember at the remastered party or the holiday bash. I can't remember when we discovered what the hands. On the
yeah,
assortment
Jeff
look like.
pointed
It has
out.
like little.
Yeah.
It has like little hairless human hands on it.
Yep, hands in the air. Yeah, remastered really has ruined a lot of my immersion in StarCraft by making the graphics better. Oh well.
Yeah, that's so funny. So we're gonna have the Spire tech come up here. He did make the hatchery in a spot you could hide tech, but he actually put the Spire in the main. I guess there's a little bit of a mind game here. We'll see where the Terran scans. You know, sometimes because you know that they could make a third hatch somewhere where you could hide stuff, you'll try to scan there, and then you don't see the tech at all.
Yeah, you might even think that there's like a third base up. This map not as popular for that because all the third base locations can be a little bit tough, except bottom left. But you know, you could see other hidden tech there, right? Like a Hydralis Den a little bit quicker, or an Evolution Chamber can be a great tech to hide because a quick one really makes you play a bit differently. But right now, Ample just kind of setting up his defense. The Mutos are going to start hatching and go across that map. And Ample, like, I'm looking at this, right? He's got 2 barracks, his eBay. He's making the missile turrets. It's kind of funny. Like, you can see how messed up his build actually got from that drone, because this is, like, the least amount of things you could ever really have before you start turrets. Like, normally you'd have 1 or 2 more racks, or maybe even a factory started if you're just on 2 racks. But he's just a little bit behind on his build.
The SCVs just barely don't get there in time. And this is actually a little bit of an advantage now for Hero. When you take out one of those turrets, it makes the Terran's position a lot more unstable. He's going to come through here, and he's actually... Oh, he misclicked.
Ooh.
Whoa, that was a huge misclick from Hero. He basically tried to fish out the Marines in an angle that would be like a line, and then almost like they're bowling ball pins for the glaives, you just shoot right down and take out the Marines in 3s. He misfired, or I guess just didn't fire. He misclicked. Something happened, and now he's already down 2 Mutalisks.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate there for Hero, but I feel like his harassment's still very good. You can see how few SCVs are at the natural, and again, the overall build order is just slow from Ample to be on only 2 barracks, and you know, he is getting his factory at an okay time, around 7 minutes, but there's no way for him to actually put pressure on. The best he can do is sit back and defend and wait for some of his tech units to come out.
Yeah, he's going to have to wait a little bit. So I think Hero's in pretty good control still of this game. And it looks like he's going to come in here and with the Mutalisks, you can try to take advantage of this area on the map that's like above where the Terran's gas is, that little empty area. And it makes it really hard for the Terran to ever push south because you're exposing your main and part of your natural there. And so we'll see the Mutas a lot of times come in and take shots here. And if he's feeling really confident, he'll go further north, like up this creek that you see them flying. Yeah, right through there. And you can kind of stay back here and just generate a threat. And until Terran is 100% confident that they can move out, it's pretty hard to do anything here.
Yeah. The Muta comes in and does try to slow down that starport production a little bit. You can only afford one, really, at the moment. I think I saw an armory making as well, so it might be a rush up into these Valkyries. Once again, coming down and knocking out the turrets to the north, going to be able to get more SCVs here. Ample just having a hard time defending against this.
Okay, nice. He's doing a great job. Just as the Marines come up, he runs right back down out. And he's made so many Mutas. Is he going to go for Guardians?
No, I don't think so.
Or is he just going to go for Defiers? I feel like I do this in every TVZ cast, by the way. I'm like, oh, he's going to go for Guardians. And Artosis goes, no, he's probably not. And the Guardians never come.
Yeah. Well, if you go Guardians, you have to go, like, instantly, basically. It's all about the speed with which you get the Guardians. In this game, like, because he sees that it's Valkyrie, I think he's just going to go directly into Lurker from here. But look at this, hitting the counterattack before a Valkyrie can be out, bringing every Mutalisk he has to bear, going after the turrets, going after the SCVs. This is pretty significant damage. In fact, he jumps on top of the Marines to trade a bit, but the Valkyrie does pop out, so this should chase him away for now. But you can see, look at this supply differential. 35 supply advantage for Hero at 90 against 55. That's so gigantic. Oh, man, he can't even get the Valkyrie to shoot. Look at this. 3-4 times he messes up the micro. Oh, you can't be doing Valkyrie builds and unable to do the micro.
This might be the worst ASL season for Valkyries, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of Valkyrie fails. Like, it is right to get the unit, but you got to control it better than this.
Yeah, honestly, people need to sit down and master the micro of it. Like, Light never misses a Valkyrie shot. GG.
Yeah.
Just play like Light. But yeah,
Just
Hero...
play like Light. Just play like Flash.
Hero absolutely smashes Ample in Game 1. Absolutely smashes. I mean, it started with that scout drone that killed an SCV and slowed the 8 racks so much it was worthless. And he followed it up with just superb Mutalisk movement and harassment.
Well, Ample's, I mean, he's feeling the heat. You know, Hero really kind of just shut him down in a very standard back and forth. I mean, all of TVZ mid-game usually is Mutalisks harassing the Terran, but sometimes you get somebody like Hero who's so good he'll break even someone like Ample in those moments. It was also a good setup to bank that many more Mutas. Right when it looked like the Mutas were leaving, that were in the initial harass, the clump of 11, it looked like they were leaving to get ready to try to defend and merge with the Lurkers. That's when he sent in something like, I don't know, 18 Mutas total and just completely flattened the main and killed the Valkyries, and that was that.
It was indeed. We're going on to Polypoid for set number 2. You know, a map where you can really choose to do just about any build as Ample. I'll be interested to see what his approach is going to be, because nothing has worked so far.
Okay. Hero in the bottom right, Ample in the bottom left. By the way, how many Zergs have qualified now?
Let's see. We had SoulKey get through. In that previous group, it was Mini and any new Rush? Am I crazy? right? So I think I think it's only been SoulKey so far.
Yeah,
round of 8. Yeah,
it's crazy. This is like it's just been such a wild season for who's actually advancing.
yeah, it certainly has been. You know, it really looks like Hero's going to advance as well, though. Honestly, we might have a pretty darn balanced next round. Like, the group that Best is going to end up playing here in Group D, it definitely looks doable for Best, right? So if you have a 3-3-2 unit distribution in the round of 8, you're happy as can be. In fact, I'm glad Bisu got eliminated
ideal.
Tasteless. 3 Protoss would be too much.
Yeah, I think Bisu's Best still has a shot. He's another guy I've been really wanting to have win an ASL like SoulKey, but just can't get a break.
No, I think he has some sort of mental choking thing going on because he's been the level to win an ASL like the entire time. For every ASL season, he's been good enough, but he just doesn't do very well in ASL, right? Like he has
really
weird
doesn't.
flubs.
His online games are crazy good.
Crazy good. Like online, dude, when you watch his games on stream and his sponsored matches and stuff, he's been top 4 Protoss in the world since like the 2010 or something. It's crazy. Like he actually probably has been at the top of the world for the longest because other people like went to StarCraft 2 for periods and he really didn't, and he's kind of maintained that form. But yeah, in ASL, you know, well, that being said, like, you know, last season obviously did great. Here he is in the round of 8 or the round of 16. Maybe he'll make the round of 8 again, but like we expect something like a championship out of him.
Yeah, I think we'll eventually get one.
I hope so.
In this game, it's going to be Depot, Barracks, Command Center. The drone is going to be able to block, but that can only go on for a little bit because this Marine is about to pop out of the barracks. The SCV over here on the scouting side, Ample's going to come inside and see that, you know, there's no surprises yet here for Hero. Not that there can be that many this early on in the matchup. You know, if I'm Hero, I almost feel like I would be confident just kind of doing a very standard game.
Yeah.
I do feel like Hero just seems to be a little bit stronger.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Than Ample, and whenever you're, you know, a lot better than another player, it's sometimes better to try to play a conservative game and to just stick with fundamentals and not try to get, you know, crazy with the mind games or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. No,
I think
very
Hero
true.
should have done that in the ZVZ versus SoulKey. I think after that game that he won in Game 1, I think he got a little too fancy. You know, the mineral in the hand really is just like a smaller mineral.
Yeah, it is. Quite the shape. I feel like I feel like I could improve mining efficiency by cutting out squares, but
yeah, it looks almost like it's uprooted a plant. I've never actually noticed that. Yeah.
It also floats in their hands. He's not actually touching that.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing is he's got lobster hands.
That's true. They do have little clasps.
Yeah, SCVs have hooves and little lobster claws for hands. And if you look really closely when you zoom in on the SCV, it seems like it has a Crusader's helmet on.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. It does.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to see that, but I saw that. You didn't just surprise me, on you.
We see on the kill count for the Zergling, the SCV was killed off. Did we get an eBay? I actually can't quite see.
Yeah.
I think it's covered by the mini-map, but I think
That's
there's
right.
an eBay there.
You're quite right about that. There is. There it is. Ooh. Look at that. The Observer heard you somehow back in time.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's a time-traveling cast.
But, yeah, that, you know, has the eBay getting that very quick +1 once again. He did do that on Polypoid against, or no, it was on Retro, sorry, against Hero for the first game of the day. And it just absolutely did not end up working out. Now, actually, Tasteless, big difference from the Retro game. Okay, if you remember back to the Retro game, you were pointing out that you thought that maybe he kind of lost it when he tried to break the ramp and lost a lot of Marines. That was such an important part. Hero takes a low ground base. Now, the low ground base, when you take it like that, it's harder to defend in the mid-game. But if you defend the mid-game and secure it, like that nothing's going to be broken, your fourth base is free and you get really far ahead. But I feel like the only time Ample is dangerous in this matchup is the mid game. So, like, he's getting the quick +1. That's much more pushable than what we saw in Retro.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think, well, let me ask you this question, Tastosis. Is it, games like this are inevitably going to come down to big drops, right? But it seems like in the bottom right, it's harder to do a big, like, you know, let's say a quad drop or a double drop ships, where you try to dump that in the main. Is that true?
Yeah. Like, if we see drops, it's almost certainly because the third got up and secured itself, and it's a quicker fourth. So that's probably where you would try to leverage drops, is shutting down that fourth base location.
Now, the mutas are going to come in once again. Ample's basically ready. And so far, so good here. He's actually taken out a decent number of SCVs. He's now moving away from the infantry. There's only 2 turrets here. And he's kind of stuck here. There's no way that Hero can actually get out now without taking a lot more damage. But how much more damage can Hero inflict here?
Yeah, surprising actually to see him fly back in. I thought he might go over the turrets and just get out. It seemed like a better play. He loses actually a lot of Mutalisks going back to fight, then flying over the turrets. So maybe a little bit wasteful there. But he's got the 3 gas. He's producing a lot of Mutalisks. Thing is, we are going to see Ample move out. It's going to occur. That is not a very big army, though. Honestly, Hero's doing a pretty good job so far.
So he knows where the base is. He has to make a call. How far up will he try to pressure here? Another Muta goes down. Good targeting here by Ample, but the Marine count is very thinned out.
Yeah, just getting more Mutas here and trying his best to dog this Marine force, whittle it down as much as possible. He might just have to start making some sunken colonies. I don't think that you get up into lurkers in time to stop the attack that's going to be coming, right?
Seems like it. Seems like this is a much more unstable mid-game. Oh, okay, I was going to say, if that one mutant just went through there, that would be a pretty big loss to suffer. We see Terrans, they get to this point and they kind of stay far out. It keeps the Mutalisks from actually harassing the main and the natural. And then the sunken colonies start to come down here. +1 air attack is done. Hero's going to try to get in between where the infantry are and then where the incoming units would be, so we can kill off reinforcements, but Ample reconfigures his position to drive that back out. But any kill just like that one is what you're looking for.
Hey, he's actually doing an okay job here in between. Oh, it looks like he will whittle this down. I gotta tell you, like, Ample's doing these 4-racks plays, but he really is having a hard time controlling his army and getting enough out there to actually push. And now he's getting into starports. Like, I thought he had a decent window this game based on the strategy that we're seeing from Hero to push across and maybe get some critical damage. But as is, it just looks like we should get the lurkers in time for Hero. Everything seems to be fine for him. The bio, you know, if you have 4 racks with +1 and you're just sitting in your main base the whole time, that's absolutely not what this build is for. Absolutely not. This is an attacking build. This is a pressure build. If you want to just sit in your base and defend and tech up, that's 3 racks that you want. So I feel like Ample is, once again, and again, he's having a good season, but he is getting outplayed here by Hero.
Yeah, it does seem like that. Like, I don't see a situation where Ample's going to be able to break out on the map and do the kind of damage he needs to do. A similar situation where we have so many mutas up here, he's going to come in and just start to try to hammer this down. Look at where the factory's placed so that the turrets can see up, but also it's harder to target the turrets down. He takes out all of the turrets, and that means the SCVs have to evacuate. I don't see Ample turning around. I don't know if there are lurker eggs morphing yet. There are 3, actually 4, because there's one on the ramp. This should be perfectly enough that nothing will happen here for Ample.
Yep. He just does not have enough.
But he's going to go for it.
He's trying it because he knows what a bad position he's in, but, like, literally everyone on Earth knows that that was not going to work. And with the mutas coming in and cleaning up this bioforce, like, Ample has stepped on so many rakes this game.
Yeah, he really has. he has. I mean, the counterpunch here from Hero could be lethal. It could be fatal. And he's going to come in now. There's one Valkyrie out. There's enough Zerglings and Lurkers and everything. I just think Terran has to keep fleeing back. He has a bunker to try to cover his tracks, but I'm just not sure what else can be done. Oh, there's actually 2 more Lurkers up here. That's kind of funny looking.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all.
I guess they're all on one hockey.
Yeah, I think you're right. He just lagged behind a little bit. But he burrows forward. He's starting to get a bit of a containment. The factory has been floating this whole time, like you pointed out, like kind of covering missile turrets. So getting out of this is going to be very messy. You know, maybe he utilizes a couple of irradiates and a flank of Marines. But even that against this many Lurkers is going to be gross.
Okay, so again, just par for the course. ASL Season 16, Vikings just getting wrecked and looking like nobody should be making them. They are good units, believe you me.
Yeah, Valkyries are excellent, but the control has been lackluster, to say the least.
Yeah. More Lings, more Lurkers are coming out, and I just don't see the situation where A, Ample's going to get out, but B, I mean, it's also possible he could just die with everything that he's got.
It might be. Like, he's landed the factory, he's getting a siege tank in siege mode right now. So, like, I'm glad to see that, because that's about the only way he's going to get out of here. But look at this, the Defiler's already come out, which means Consume is almost done. And as soon as you get Consume up into that natural, there's not going to be a lot left.
Yeah. And I think this is the kind of game that we're getting to at this point in time. The mid-game, like, Hero is so good at this mid-game. It looks like Terran can't win, but then you see other players play, and it's clearly a very different beast. Here we go. That dreaded Dark Swarm right over in the natural. He puts it down, and I don't know that Ample can recover from here. And if he even targeted the SCVs, oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like the majority of them are going to get out. Some of them do suffer and are killed off.
Well, he gets a counter drop off, and units coming to try to clear this. It's actually a very excellent drop. I tell you, this is the story of Ample, right? He's getting Dark Storm pushes natural, but doing some pretty good drops that make it seem like maybe he has a chance. But I think this will get cleared quickly enough that it's not going to be nearly as impactful as the Lurkers in his natural expand.
Okay. The Lurkers are going to come forward again. I mean, look, it's cool to see that, you know, the damage get done over here, but I just don't see an out. Meanwhile, back at home, Terran is mining the few minerals that are left over inside the main. It is crazy what a small amount of Marines and medics can do if microed right.
Yeah, he definitely gets his value out of those drop ships, but doesn't matter. He actually, you can see the rubble. He lost the command center, man. Oof.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, CC was destroyed. He didn't even lift it off. GG. A great run for Ample, but ultimately it's Hero who is supposed to be in the round of 8.
Yeah, you know, Hero just looking great as always. I mean, a round of 8 isn't a round of 8 without Hero in there, that's for sure. This guy is, like, how many? He's got 1 finals and, like, 6 round of 4s or something at this point. It's insane. Like, he's so consistent. And you can see why. He makes Ample, honestly, look like a low S-rank player. Not even kidding.
Yeah.
Like, that didn't look like a pro. If you just show me that game, that replay, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Terran's like 2300 MMR. You know, it's just not.
It did look like pro versus amateur. You're totally right.
Yeah.
Like, there was no way for Ample to ever get past mid-game to where he was even going to have a chance.
And I guess we'll take a look at one of these key moments. I actually don't recall that moment being important. He's like, yeah, see, he was making a Hydralisk then. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, that's like part of
every
the
once in a
Zerg
while
tech.
with production here, they like pick this moment, and I'm like, okay, like what are we looking for here?
This part where he didn't really kill very much. Okay, sick. Oh yeah, he killed that one.
I think that the more important moment was probably when he killed off the turrets at the natural and then started to slaughter the Marines, and then the push didn't turn around. But I guess this was kind of big. He kills this, but you know.
My guess is this was based on the start time of the Hydralisk gun. This was probably the last moment he had where he could have moved across the map and gotten damage before lurkers. And
yeah, you're probably right.
How Hero stopped that from occurring. Yes.
So, Hero, we're going to go to his interview now. Let's see how he's feeling. He is moving on to the round of 8. Only 2 spots left in the round of 8. Let's get to that interview now.
All right, that's it for all the Group C matches. And we have the second player who's moving on to round of 8. It is going to be Hero, the third player. Congratulations. Thank you. So you have made it to round of 8 for 3 consecutive seasons now. And what a solid defense you put on today. How do you feel right now?
일단 저저전 지고 좀
I mean, it's been a hell of a ride today. You know, a lot of up and downs.
뭔가 맵 순서 걸린 게 좀 괜찮더라고요. 그래가지고
I played with confidence today. I'm really happy that I came out on top.
오늘 경기 전 인터뷰에서
During the pre-match interview, you know, I asked you about how the mindset changes when it comes to Protoss and Terran as your opponent. And you mentioned that you play a bit more defensively, a bit more passively against Terran players. But it felt like there was like a smokescreen strategy because you played really aggressively against the Terran today. So how was the ZVT practice? I mean, I practiced mostly on retro, the map. And I just played like I had practiced. But after losing that one, I felt really angry. So I did play a bit more aggressively than usual because of that. So in the first game against SoulKey, you did win, but in game 2, things were different. Things took a very dark turn. You did go for a sneaky hatchery, and SoulKey actually mentioned that he was going to go for the same strategy had he been placed in the 5 o'clock position in the same map. So what do you think about his statement? Makes you laugh, huh? Makes you laugh, huh? I was practicing yesterday, and this anonymous player actually mentioned that that strategy was a one-off strategy. This anonymous player who goes by the surname Kim. So actually, at first I thought this was a one-off strategy. I didn't think my opponent would actually see through this, but you know, it was my fault. It was my fault for using the strategy. But within ASL, you show a very solid performance, and you were quite gullible for you to trust that guy. I mean, after the end of the first game, you know, I shouldn't have believed in SoulKey's words. SoulKey actually mentioned before that he was never going to go for the 12 Zergling movement speed upgrade. At first I thought SoulKey was a trustworthy person, but it turns out he's not. You know, I should be more careful when I approach people now. Well, with the lesson learned today, I think you can take a more safer approach in the round of 8. You can go up against various players in the round of 8. You have a lot of options. So which one do you prefer? I mean, even before the competition began this season, I knew that Effort was going to be one of the top contenders in ASL, one of the strong favorites to win. And Rush also is a very strong player, so Rush and Effort, they're both very strong. I actually don't want to go up against either of them. But regardless, I'll have to practice well. So in the group nomination, you mentioned that your goal this season was to win the whole thing. And I'm sure the fans are really happy to hear the answer. And you're approaching, you're getting closer to that goal. So anything you want to say? I mean, this group was definitely not an easy one. But now that I move on to round of 8, I want to practice more, and I really want to go to round of 4 no matter what. And after my finger injury, fans have been worried about me. but I've been getting rehab and I've been trying to cure the injury these days. Alright, any last words to your colleagues, your fans? Alright, first of all, I want to thank my JSA students. And also I want to thank my co-streamers who are watching this ASL right now. And as for practice partners, JoyJ, Mini, Mind, YSC, I want to thank every one of them. And for SoulKey, I'm not too sure. I'll try to show a better performance in round of 8. Well, thank you, Hero, for your candid answer. Thank you. And that's all for the second winner's interview with Hero.
Well, guys, there you have it. What a great set of games here today. SoulKey and Hero advance. Zerg still looking pretty damn good for this season 16 of the ASL.
Yeah, doing a good job. And you know, I'm pretty happy with how it went today. I feel like Bisu kind of dropped the ball a little bit with that one poor attack. It's too bad. And you know, Ample did a good job beating him, but didn't feel like Ample really had a chance to beat either of these Zerg players to get through. So just kind of Bisu's stumbling block, unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, Bisu, he always looks very tough, but he doesn't seem to have the same kind of invincibility that he had before. And I guess, you know, in years to come, we're going to have to see if he can find that again. And, you know, what he can bring to the table with that. So here's who's in the actual final, for the 6 that we have out of the 8. We've got 3 Zergs, 2 Terrans, and a Protoss here. So JYJ and Rush are more modern Terrans.
I don't know how I forgot about Effort when we were talking about this
No, it's so funny, because I forgot too. I asked you, and then I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know this. Then I was like trying to pull up my phone and look it up.
Yeah, as soon as I said, no, I think it's only SoulKey, I'm like, no, that can't be right.
I know. I was like, someone, and I was like, was it Action? And I'm like, no, he hasn't played yet.
Yeah, exactly.
So this one's going to be a hell of a day. Group D, we've got Best, Sharp, Action, and Royal. We're going to be recording that 24 hours from this recording. We always record the matches the following evening that they happen. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you again, Tastosis.
Oh, I just can't wait, Tasteless. That is a fantastic group, though. And really, anyone can make it out of here. All 4 of these guys are so legitimately round of 8 type guys, you know? All of them have been there many, many times, have had very deep runs. I don't know exactly what to expect. I think if Best makes it out, it's a good day no matter what.
Yeah, fingers crossed for Best. Otherwise, Mini's really going to have to steal the whole show here. At least give me a Protoss here in the final 4. But, hey, man, you know, Terrans have been murdering. The last 2 ASL finals were 4 different Terrans. And I'll tell you what, Sharp and Royal, especially Royal, I mean, he could take the whole thing again. So it could just be more Terran domination until Flash comes back and dominates with Terran again. We'll find out. But, yeah, Action as well. Never count that guy out. Could be another Zerg. I don't know what it is with the Zergs this season, but it's been a very Zergy season.
Yeah, well, I think things are falling into their natural pace of things. We all know, look at, Terran players may hate Protoss players, and Protoss players may be annoyed by Terran players, but one thing they can both agree on is Zerg is the best race.
Yes, okay? The Zerg is secretly actually the best, and we can always
I mean, you saw those Mutalisks. You see what Mutalisks and Zerglings and Defilers can do. There's no question there. So I think Zerg is taking its rightful spot at the top.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. We love you. We appreciate you. Please check out the Patreon at patreon.com/ASL English, and we will see you in Group D. Bye-bye.